Ba-doom, ba-doom. Ba-doom. Ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom. Ba-doom, ba-doom.
Da-da-da-doo. Da-da-da-da.
Wow, 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 wow.
Da-da. 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 Okay. Wonder if I
Ba-da.
wonder if I could like repeat the stream on my channel.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Like I could swear there's an option in order to like rebroadcast it.
Yeah, there is an option for like multi-broadcasting or something. I don't
Yeah.
remember where the fuck it is, but I have seen it done.
Yeah.
I know it exists.
So
It is
I will figure
real.
that out. I'll figure that out once we get to that point. Scooby, Scooby, Scooby Doo. Is my average like mic volume good?
It is for me. I am playing with it on OBS, and I will continue to do so. So you don't have to worry about it. You know,
You just make sure
you
it's
just keep talking. I'm going to adjust things in the background as I do.
I move it a bit closer. There we go. So that way I have my whole screen in view. It's here at the corner, pretty close. So I will keep talking about a random thing like numbers. Numbers are pretty cool. They increment up in a lot of ways. You have one, and then you have 1.1, and then you have two, and then you have fuck you, and then you have three.
Pretty
Everyone
much.
always forgets about the one after two, but
Yeah,
it's very important.
it is. It is exceedingly important. And like the entire field of statistics is based around trying to quantify and understand the fuck you because we don't know why it's there, right? It's
Yes.
like it's the eternal mystery of the universe and science. It's like why is it between 1.2 and 1.3 that there's just this infinity of fuck you? And so we have to scale for that in everything that we do statistics wise. So
My
we have to
best
try to.
assumption is that it's like you know how we have the golden ratio, like
Yes.
the golden circle and all that. I think the fuck you is the golden ratio of numbers, but not actually the the literal translation of the golden ratio to numbers. If that makes sense. Like it's that perfect um, increment between the numbers it's between, and right there is where infinity collides. And if we figure that out, we figure out time travel and also the answer to what's in Satan's butt crack.
I'm not sure that I want to know what's in Satan's butt crack, but
Unfortunately, there are some things that you must accept knowledge in order to obtain. You can't obtain
well,
time travel without knowing what's in Satan's butt crack.
well, shit.
Is this what is known as going too far? Have humans progressed too far but not understanding enough? Should we go back to living in caves and burning ourselves on fire?
Debatably, yes.
Ah, yes. However, I don't know. The diseases feel less nice.
Diseases definitely don't feel great. I'm not a big fan. Gotta say, like in the spectrum of the cosmos and how everything happens and why everything happens, it's like, why the fuck does cancer exist? It's like, who came up with this?
I think the answer may be in the numerical fuck you.
It's gotta
Like
be.
everything that doesn't make sense is in that numerical fuck you. So if we figure that out,
That's
then
it.
it's set. We progress to the next stage. We've reached the next lap in parkour.
That's it. We've done it. We've solved it, kind of. We've come up with an idea for how this mystery unfolds. Ba-da-ba-ba. Why is it that like Mario Kart music always slaps? You are you are indeed correct. You are correct. It is a wonderful universal constant. Kind of amazing, really.
Yes, cool.
Yep. 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 It's good stuff, man. And it just like it gets you pumped.
Oh yeah, it does.
You're you are absolutely pumped and ready to get on that racetrack.
Perfect streamage of the getting you pumped to get into that Mario Kart discussion.
Oh yeah,
Or sorry, that Elden Ring discussion. Never mind.
yeah. Well, I mean, we're talking about Elden Cart, so you know,
Uh,
it's
Bloodborne Cart.
fitting. Bloodborne Cart, yeah, my favorite game. Love Bloodborne Cart. It's it's truly a masterpiece.
It really
The
is.
mechanics they have around drifting and stuff. It's like, puts Crash Team Racing to shame. And the fact that you can use the pimp cane while you're on the cart
Oh yeah.
blows everything else out of the water.
You can leave Molotovs behind you for fire effects on the track.
Yeah. It's like, man, where did they come up with these ideas?
All Beyond is just its version of yourself.
Pretty much. Okay. So, stream seems to be consistent. We like
Good.
to see it. Uh, I think, because I sent you the list, did I have included in there at the top that I wanted to talk about? Just to start with, is like laying a foundation for the discussion and for ourselves. Is like, what is our experience with the Souls games?
Yeah, that's at the top here.
All right.
You can check it on the pins if you want. Just right up the top. Fuck, fuck.
Ah, Soulka.
Okay. So, if you link me to your channel, I think I can figure out how to recast it.
Oh, I can. I can do that. We have the technology.
The technology. The continuing evolution of the human race.
We can rebuild him. Oh God, why?
Wait, does it up? Unnecessary.
There we go. Okay. Not gonna do that. I can do that. Go bloop.
There we go. It's Professor Mallory. Alright, let's see here.
Whoa,
Settings.
indeed.
Here follow that. Yeah.
It would certainly make it easier to find it in the future.
Sharing something. Munchkins and Mayhem. Who dis?
That would be my sister.
Oh. So I wonder, is my voice streaming currently to that right now? I have no idea.
Should be.
Munchkins, if you can hear me, say 3, 2, 1 in that order.
There's about a 3-second delay, so it'll be a little bit.
Yeah.
But. Oh, all right.
I think I gotta work out how to recast it. How to recast. I don't
Surely this technology exists.
I actually don't know what the term for it is. How to share? No. Oh God, I have no clue. Just as a warning, you seem a bit quiet. Both of us, or only one?
Oh, interesting. We shall turn it off then.
You got
Turn
a
it
cap
off
on the mic. Okay.
just a little bit. I'm trying not to go beyond the yellow, because I think the yellow is arguably where you want to keep it, you know?
Yeah. I
It's
think
like
the
you don't
average
want to be
for
blowing
like film
people out.
mastering is -6 decibels, or -3, somewhere in that range.
Huh. -6 is generally where I have the microphone, so.
Yeah. I did. What, what is the term for this?
Oh,
How to
you know.
restream a Twitch stream.
Let me.
Oh, how to host a Twitch stream. I think that's it. Host a stream on Twitch. You first need to be on your own channel, your chat, and then type host. Channel name. Okay, I see. That'll be easy. That'll be very, very, very cool. Go chat and /host. Prof Mallard.
Yes. Yes.
Are we doing it?
That be me.
Oh, doing it though. Okay, so that's now live.
Alright.
Okay. I hear another voice barely if they're supposed to be heard. Oh, they can't even hear me. Uh-oh.
I am adjusting.
I will keep talking, so whenever the volume is about right, be sure to notify us of that.
Yes.
And I will continue to talk in order to help with the volume adjustment. And check this out. I'm still talking. Is that a shock? I'm assuming it's shocking. Is it a shock? I'm assuming.
Alright, I'm
Rather surprising, even.
hearing stuff, so.
You can hear now?
On the
Okay, good,
playback.
good. Is the volume comfortable, or yeah, rather bad, all things considered?
I would call it comfortable as far as I can tell.
Now they're louder than you. Uh-oh.
Oh yes.
It was the plan all along.
You're just
So I guess boost yourself a little bit and kick me down a little bit as well.
Yes, but now you can be heard. We don't want to stop that from
Louder
happening.
than you. And you're the one streaming, so obviously you're the important one here.
You know. I think everybody has their importance.
Oh Lord Mallard, high above all,
I am
may we hear your voice.
the Lord of the Ducks. Not quite as exciting as something like the Lord of the Rings, but you know.
I think Lord of the Mallard kind of exudes just sort of similar.
There's some gravitas to that, certainly.
Indeed. To keep the stream muted, otherwise.
Yes. All right.
I think sound is good now. Oh, great, wonderful.
Excellent. We appreciate you. Lovely to have you giving us some feedback. I thought I had the sound okay last when I was testing it out, but apparently not. It's the eternal battle, I tell you.
Oh no.
Alright. So. Let's get her going, I think.
Hey. Yeah.
And,
it's very much a help. Thank you.
Yes.
That's weird.
So, what I will pass it to you as the guest on the stream. What is your experience with the Souls games?
My
Which games have
experience
you
with the
played?
Souls games. So, sorry.
No, go on.
My experience with the Souls games. Should I go in order? You think, like Dark Souls 1, all the way through to the rest of them, or just overall?
Yeah, I would go in order of like the games that you've played and maybe like how much, just as an estimate, how much you've played of them, and certainly what you think of them in terms of quality and presentation and stuff. This is going to be a very detailed breakdown of Elden Ring, so I'm certainly happy to get into detail talking about the other games first and then build into the rangs of the elderly.
I think it would be, especially considering how much inspiration and like continual design Elden Ring takes from the other games. So, my experience with these Souls games, I started with Dark Souls 3, then played Dark Souls 1, 2, Sekiro, then Bloodborne. Just like for a general timeline there. I haven't finished Dark Souls 2, but I have finished all the other games in their modern library,
Dark Souls 2 isn't
except
worth
Demon Souls,
finishing.
except Demon Souls, which I've never played, not once. Not the remake, not the original PS3 version. Just
I
having
definitely recommend playing um, Demon Souls. It is quite enjoyable.
I'll have to have a go at it, but for now it's that one game that I just don't know anything about. It's still a mystery to me, which I do like because it's something I can keep for a rainy day.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I need a FromSoft experience, but I want it to be new. It's like, oh, well, I got that in my back pocket. Just download the PlayStation 3 emulator and give that a shot ski.
Yeah. Also, the secondary benefit to waiting is that the PS3 emulator will probably improve in that time.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So who knows?
For sure. I'm just waiting for a good PlayStation 4 emulator to really hit.
Yeah. So I played the original, not the, we're talking about original. I played Dark Souls 3 through on my laptop the first time, and I got like, what, geez, 20, 30 FPS on
Ooh,
average
yeah.
on those settings.
Yeah.
But I did have a controller, so that was wonderful.
That's
And
that's how I started
yeah, it
when it
took me
came
a
to Dark
long
Souls
time
3.
and a lot of persuading from a friend who actually bought me Dark Souls 3 in order to finish it, like, and give it a proper playthrough. So I remember getting to Vort once on my first run, and then he absolutely trashed me. For some reason, I always have trouble with the second bosses in every game, like Taurus Demon, Vort. I guess Margit here would count. Would just always absolutely wreck me. And uh, that first time through, first getting to Vort, like I quit out of it for a while, and I got back into it a later time. I played through the entire game, and I loved it to bits.
I can definitely relate with that experience.
Hello, God.
Hello. Welcome to two autists discussing Elden Ring for a very long time. Um,
No, I am not autistic.
that you know of.
Most likely.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. So,
Yeah. Especially when our brains work in a very
yeah.
interesting order of ways.
Yeah.
Let's go.
As will become evident as we go through. So, to cap off your experiences with the Souls games, give like a number out of 10 for the games that you've played and feel you can sufficiently. Like, if you don't want to give a number for Dark Souls 2 since you haven't finished it, that's totally cool. But just like as an idea, because at some point in the discussion of Elden Ring, I do want to like try to cap it with a number as like a, this is what I would rate it in terms of overall quality.
Yeah. Putting a number on them is definitely very hard due to
It
how
is.
each
It's so
pretty-
hard.
how each major Souls game in their library, and even like the more spin-offs like Sekiro and Bloodborne, they do kind of vary year round. Obviously, often by design, and even sometimes just by limitations that happen. Like I would rate second half of Dark Souls 1 as absolutely terrible.
Oh God, yeah.
Dark
Well,
Souls 1 is one
yeah,
out of 10. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree with all those rankings. That's fair. That's facts.
yeah. That is the correct ranking. It has been done.
Okay, so going just from the order I played them in, Dark Souls 3, I would probably rate somewhere from a 6 to a 7 out of 10 as an overall experience. Welcome stream is over. Oh man, all our discussion is now done.
Ugh,
There's nothing more
man.
to talk about.
Ooh, what a stream. Oh,
I'll just
20
stream. Oh,
minutes.
I'm
Man,
so I'm tired.
I don't know how people do this for so long.
Oh no. Okay, so okay, we're Dark
Dark
Souls
Souls
3,
3, 6 to 7.
6 out of 7. 6 to 7 out of 10. Yeah. The bosses in that game are definitely the highlight, but most of the areas I would probably rank as okay. Like even now going back through them, they're often very boring to me to replay. Like the color palettes, the design, the general fun going through them. It was a mystery and very dark and scary the first time around, but like the more I repeat that game, the more it kind of loses its replay value. But the bosses retain their fun. Like Gundyr Vort, uh, not really the Cursed Rider Greatwood
Yeah.
or Crystal
Ugh.
Sages or the Deacons of the Deep, but like
Ugh.
Dragon Slayer Armored, Pontiff, Osiris even. What do you mean you don't like Koopa? I do like Farron actually, but I don't really. It's hard to distinguish because I do like Farron as an area. I like how it's set up and I like how it's put together. I love the boss at the end. Obviously, Abyss Watchers is a huge highlight
Oh,
of Dark
yeah.
Souls 3 just overall, and the Soul series in general.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh.
especially considering areas like
Oh.
the Cathedral of the Deep, if that's the name I remember. Jeez.
It is.
Or
You
Road
did
of
it.
Sacrifices, or the Undead Settlement, or Consume King's Garden, or Grand Archives. Jeez, like all these areas, they're just okay to me. I just I just get through them, and the highlight is more in the boss at the end. I much more enjoy areas like Irithel, not Irithel, no, the Painted World, and weirdly enough, uh, the two DLC areas for the last DLC.
Ringed City.
The Ring City and the Drake Heap before it.
Yeah.
For some reason, I
Those
really
are
like those. The design of those.
those are I would say among the better designed areas. My biggest problem with Ringed City is like how much it shows you but then doesn't let you go to.
Oh yeah,
And that's a problem for a lot of areas in these games up until I think Elden Ring. It's like it shows you this large scope, but it limits you on what you can actually go to. And like for Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2, that was a limitation of the like system that they were working with, the having to because I think they designed these for consoles first and then they port them over to PC, and they do a shit job at porting it over to PC. Uh, you know, um, but they wanted it to feel bigger than they could actually make it, and that is certainly evident when looking at Demon Souls, and then Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2. I think they pushed it as big as they could with what they were working with. They were like, we have somewhat of a system going. We have an idea. You know, we've been told to do this project. Let's go for it. And so they came up with a lot of interesting areas, a lot of pretty interesting ideas, and they weren't quite able to fulfill on much of their ideas for it.
I I do I do definitely recall that feeling of a vertical slice that you're taking, or just like a regular knife slice that you're taking through a world that's meant to feel more populated and large than what you can experience. In a way, I appreciate that artistically and technically, because in most cases, I think it's pulled off very, very well. Like there's this like grand sense of a world that you only really start to lose once you become like deeply acquainted with the area, like once you know it item by item that you can collect. But especially in areas like Yarnum from Bloodborne, or what's like the Undead Parish, or like just the general starting areas of Dark Souls 1. And I will say the Ring City Dark Souls 3, though it's worse for this. They really present you with a good understanding of the world around you.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
but I'll be honest, I never liked the poison swamps because their goal is clearly to be a drag and annoying to maneuver. However, it makes sense to traverse it in a game like Elden Ring, but now it feels like it's just
yes.
an obligatory addition, so they
It
have to
it
go through a checklist.
it definitely.
He's not actually starting a new game here. This is a recording that is
Yeah,
being played in the background.
yeah, and I have yet to use Rivers of Blood. I'm currently working on an arcane playthrough, an arcane build, and I'm going to use Rivers of Blood just to test it. But I have yet to use it, and I want to see what the actual strength is.
Maidenless
Um,
behavior? You admit to your use of the god-forsaken weapon?
Absolutely. I'm very much looking forward to testing it out and seeing what the like proper limitations are, cuz you know, if we want to go forward into making a mod to fix a lot of the problems with the game, I want to analyze things properly. I want to put them through the paces, test it, run it through as much as I can and say what works, what doesn't. And a part of that is doing as many builds as I can think of, and I've done most kinds,
Right.
and playing through Reforged, which this is the recording of this is for.
A true god would have just banished Rivers of Blood.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I mean, of course, of
You're
course.
not
Although
wrong.
I'm sure it's okay to experiment with, because Rivers of Blood is exemplary of a lot of other problems with just bleed and balance in general. Duh. Original, so let's say 10 crystal exarch bosses.
Oh God, why?
Uh,
Oh God,
okay,
why?
but because I'm now interested in the poison swamp thing, yes, I will say that the mechanic of just like waiting for a bar to go up and go down, kind of dummy though.
It is.
It's
So
never
I
really felt fun to me, and it's more just a tie to the area itself. Like I usually like the area that the poison swamps are for, like how terrified it usually can make you feel, more than the poison swamp. Like Blighttown, I don't like the poison swamp section, but I also, in a way, appreciate like the design and verticality of the Upper Blighttown itself. It's annoying as hell to traverse because the the walking boxes for that are just a guessing game. And yeah, the
yeah,
Blood Rot Swamp is underground disappointed me
yeah, definitely.
greatly.
I have the hot take, I think. I'm pretty sure it's a hot take that I actually like poison swamps as a mechanic. I think that the way that FromSoft has implemented them, they're stuck in the rut of it because it's expected of them at this point. But there are ways that you can do that and do it well, because it makes exploration difficult in a specific way where you're not being attacked by stuff all the time, and it's more I'm on this time limit. I need to explore as fast as I can before I run out of resources. Yeah, I totally agree. In Elden Ring, it's like totally natural, especially in Caelid. Like, as much as I don't think that swamp is designed well, in Caelid, it makes total sense to come across a swamp of, oh shit, I'm going to die. Like, beautiful, perfect, totally agree. I'm right there with you. This is the place where that should be happening. And even in the Farron Woods, like, that is, I think, my favorite swamp level. It's not justified as well as the swamp at the base of Blighttown, because Blighttown, you're, from the name itself and from everything you know about the area, like, you're told very clearly it's decrepit and poisonous and horrible, and everything here is mutated and basically wants to die and wants to just feed on everything it can. And so it's justified really well in Dark Souls 1. I think
Holy shit, Elden
design-wise...
Oompa Woompus.
Oh, yes. Floomple Woompus.
Sorry, I interrupted you there. I had to make the joke.
That's okay.
Sorry, continue.
I am incapable of doing normal names for characters in Souls games. It's like all of them must be... I think I have like Brengo Claris and Floomple Woompus and something else. It's just what I do. I don't know. I don't know. I like Wumbo words.
Kill 2.0. Yes. Okay, wait, for now, if you could, please pause the playback here, because I do want to keep the intro for a later discussion, as for now it seems we're kind of focused around like general areas and the earlier games.
Yeah. But talking briefly about Poison Swamps, going back to that, I like the idea of the mechanic. I think it can be done well, but you are totally right that waiting for that bar to go down is stupid, and it forces you to wait. And while Souls is about, at least it used to be about, being slow and being careful and, you know, trying to observe and trying to do things in the smartest, most logical way possible, having to sit for 5 minutes while you wait for your bar to go down because it almost hit, you know, I'm gonna be poisoned, or I'm gonna have toxic,
so
or
you gotta
scarlet
wait
rot,
the whole thing,
or death. It's like,
yeah,
it's really stupid to have to wait for that thing to go down. And that's something I hope that we can eventually work on fixing through mods.
I feel like I would appreciate like the poison swamp the generality a lot more if it built and
yes,
if it built and you could take away the build up in a more intuitive way that wasn't just like, it didn't just feel out of your control except for an item that you could use to make the entire thing go away instantly. It's very much either it's one or nothing. Like, you either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
And yes, I think in Sekiro you can justify it with your insane mobility, especially with the design of the swamps in that game, where often you are given ways to negate it entirely unless you're caught down there for some reason.
Yeah, and you have like spots you can jump out of it for a reprieve, and that game is definitely a lot about observation and planning. Where am I going to go? And then you have the mobility of, I can get through that as fast as fucking possible. And I am a god.
Like, the Floor is Lava game actually translates much better.
It does.
I think. Yeah.
It does indeed. But I think... yeah, my biggest problem with the Poison Swamps is waiting for the bar to go down. Because Dark Souls 1 does very well to give you the tools, and Demon Souls as well. Like, it gives you the tools before you get anywhere near that swamp to deal with it. You are given the ways to deal with the consequences of having to walk through it. And if you know where you're going, you can go and get the rusted iron ring in Dark Souls 1, and you can rush through the water without any problems. That slowing you down thing is something to be used carefully and in specific areas, not fucking everywhere. And I am very glad that that doesn't really happen that much in Elden Ring. It's like, I'm glad that you accepted that this is a really dumb thing for you to do. don't do this, please. Please don't limit my mobility while you're killing me.
Ah, yes, Pink Hell.
Yes, Pink Hell.
Underground. I Pink
I
Hell Underground is disappointing, mainly
it
because I
is.
expected a lot more out of it. I thought that that first swamp area was going to be so much more than it was.
Yeah.
Like I was so ready for another Sense Fortress to absolutely break me mentally in a way. I'll let that hang for a second. But
I I definitely agree.
but as pretty much as soon as you get out of it, the only rot you need to deal with anymore is that pool between the bugs, and then you get to a cell, which is fantastic. But
Yep.
what the hell is that area before him?
Yeah, and why? Why? Why?
Like
Why?
why
Why
do you
is
even have
there
platforms that you could raise? What is the point of that? It
why
never does enough to mitigate the rot. You don't if you sprint across them, there's never mm, that much
why
reprieve in order to negate it.
why is there a putrid tree spirit at the base of a putrid waterfall in a very limited area where your mobility is limited? Why?
Ah, yes,
Why?
plus the hammer charge. Shame they patched it.
Why is that a thing? Why would you
If
do
you weren't
this?
aware, you could use the prelate's hammer weapon art or Ash of War to charge through the entirety of the swamp at that same speed.
Holy shit, I did not know that.
And in prior patches, you could do it as even when you were out of mana. Unfortunately, they changed that so
Yo.
that you still need mana to do it.
Ah, bummer.
However, if you have enough, you can still make it quite a distance.
Yeah. I I didn't even I didn't hate the Lake of Rot, but I didn't like it. I liked the idea of it initially. It's like stepping out when you first see it. If you go through Ansel River and you're like looking down on it and you're like, "Oh god, I'm going to go there eventually." Yeah. Yeah, it's not close to game breaking. It probably wasn't even something that you could abuse in PvP.
I don't even think it did damage at that point because like the fire effect would disappear and
Yeah,
it would
so they
be the
just did
charge.
it to screw you when trying to get through
Because
swamps.
I really like things like that can happen where you have a tool that you are given and you figured out how to use it. You've discovered where it is and you found a use for it.
It barely did damage even with FP. Oh man. Oh, that's so sad. I've never used it.
I
Oh,
have
that's so
seen funny
sad.
PvP videos of it literally stun locking someone into pushing them back down an entire hallway,
That's amazing.
which was hilarious, but it does do piddly damage.
Unfortunate.
So like it being used as a movement tool is very nice. I like that a lot, and I do want to bring it back.
Yeah. And I mean, come on, quick step, right? Like they had this in Dark Souls 3. Even when you ran out of FP, you could use the weapon art to get the movement speed. Why would they take away something like that? Why would you do that? It's just so dumb. I don't
The
know.
same patch, they still haven't nerfed Bloodhound Step.
They have not. They have not nerfed Bloodhound Step, nor have they properly nerfed Bleed. They
Okay.
just don't intend to.
Like, I'm still not sure about that. I have no idea what they're planning to do at this point. Like, I literally have no idea what's going to be up in a patch next.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
I
it's tiny, maybe it's big, maybe it does nothing. Who knows? But
it.
at the
They'll
moment, we're talking
probably
about the game as it is now and the changes they've made so far.
yeah. They'll probably fix one thing and break 40 others, as they do. But going back to what we were talking about, so putting a number on the games. Dark
All
Souls
right.
3 you said like 6 to 7.
Yeah. Okay, so 6 to 7. The mechanics it has and the bosses it does are generally very good. There's things I really don't like the FP system. Covenants are really
True.
weird. A lot like an area like Anor Londo is similar to Lake of Rot, and then it was kind of disappointing
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Irithyll is great and pretty well designed, I think. But then once you get to Anor Londo, it's just like, have this reference to the old game. You liked the old game. Here's this.
like
And then
I
you
don't
get one
even
boss
mind
and
that
that's
it's a
it.
reference to an old game. My main problem is that it's a lot of build up for an area with very little to it. There's not much to it. There's no new enemies. There's just the boss. Irithyll
Yeah.
is very pretty,
Oh
and
yeah.
as an area, it's generally very nice. I do like that there's a lot of connecting things that can happen. You can go down to lower levels, you can get up to higher levels, and all of
Yep.
that.
I think stuff like what Cinders has done lately with being able to jump over walls and stuff has really expanded the
Oh yeah,
scope of Irithyll, because I think it's a really well designed level otherwise. But stuff like what Cinders and Convergence have done to add in some more areas and add in ladders and things so you can get up and down through it has just blown that design like, ugh, chef's kiss. Mwah, mwah. So good. I love that area. And then you get to Anor Londo and it's just like, yeah, yeah,
okay. There's stuff here, I guess.
yeah. You can have the one big room. You can have one room. One room? Yeah, one room. And
A lot of the
big
I've,
staircase. Oh, you remember the staircase? Don't you like these keys were jangling in front of you?
oh
Tickling your
boy,
balls with these keys.
oh no, don't do that. That's rather unbecoming of you, FromSoft. How dare you? So, and like Profane Capital in the same vein of Anor Londo is that they really didn't have the time, it felt like, to flesh out those areas like they wanted to, and had to
Yeah.
focus more on the major areas of the game, like returning to Lothar Castle, which is also like a pretty good area. But that's the thing, is like of all the areas in that game, there's not one I like to explore so much as I do any major area in Elden Ring, or even in earlier games or later games like Sekiro or Bloodborne
I
or
think I will argue with you slightly. So I agree that most of the areas are okay. Um, but the Cathedral of the Deep and the dungeon level are so tightly designed. They make use of basically all of the space that they're trying to use pretty damn well. Like,
yeah, because Cathedral of the Deep does have that rafters section, right? And
yeah, it's
pretty
got
much
the
all
rafters,
over and
it's
around
got
that
the sort
cathedral.
of two halves of the church that you end up going through, and you can
I
skip parts of it entirely if you want to. And I always appreciate when there's areas that, you're you're given as an option to explore, but you're not forced to. I don't know that Dark Souls necessarily wants you to progress. I think Dark Souls 2 wanted you to progress, and I think Dark Souls 3 kinda does. But Dark Souls 1 definitely wanted you to explore because it wanted you to find the shortcuts. It wanted you to find, the items that are going to benefit you. It set out this world that was very tightly designed and very limited, and it said, go get as much as you can get. It's like, as soon as you have the elevator from the parish down to Firelink Shrine, you can go get the spiked mace, I can't remember the name of, and you can get some other stuff that's very helpful that I can't remember. There's red eyes, I think, so you can start invading people really quickly. There's like stuff that you can find, and it gives you this option. It says if you can do it, if you can think that there may be something here, we might throw you a bone.
I think of all the original Dark Souls games, Dark Souls 1 is the one I would rank highest on giving you actual tangible rewards for exploration that you may not have gathered otherwise. There's a weapon in you can find in Anor Londo in a random chest somewhere that's enchanted with a specific thing that you can also enchant a weapon with yourself, but it requires a specific upgrade path, and this
Oh
weapon
yes.
allows you to take down the skeletons without needing to kill them twice.
Yep.
And that was really useful to find for me. Like, um, when I realized that I needed the holy enchant, I think, for that area, and I looked through my inventory, and sure enough, I had that weapon in there that I'd gotten from that chest in Orlando.
Yep. The occult
There's
club.
also, of course, the shortcuts that you can find, like the one between Valley of the Drakes and uh, Dark Root Forest,
Yep.
which is very out of the way, but it's a very useful shortcut for portions of the game.
It is. And I think that there's certainly an argument to be made that some of the rewards that you got for exploring were not as great.
Oh no.
But
Especially near the end of the game where you just get like chunk. Oh, there's another chunk. Oh, holy shit. It's a shard. Wow.
yeah,
I need these
yeah, the back half of Dark Souls 1 is bad. It
in
is
so
it
many
is
respects.
absolutely bad. Oh, we'll get to the
Hey,
stats
don't worry.
eventually.
Don't worry, Code. We're all about jumping between different topics and because
Oh
it's all
yeah.
about building a big understanding. So, and because things lead to another just naturally, that's totally fine.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And
So, yeah, but fuck all the stats from FromSoft games. Why do they exist? Uh, uh, yeah.
that is an excellent question. It is hmm.
Variety.
It's maybe. I don't even know if you could justify it like that.
No, I couldn't. That's just what I would expect the regular answer to be, but I really think it's
I feel like FromSoft would justify it by saying it's a game.
it's magic, fool. I ain't got to explain shit.
It's an RPG. It's like you're supposed to level up and do stuff. And I like that in Dark Souls
This
1.
artifact increases my robustness. Cool. I know exactly what that does and why this is useful to me.
Fucking hell. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, I remember, and I shared this with you earlier. How you had found the stat. The description for it was increases your resistance to death.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like is that not HP? Like what do you mean? Increases my resistance to death.
Oh, I love increasing my resistance to death. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, it's like I
When I
don't
put
want
on
to
a mask
die.
and go outside, I increase my resistance to death.
I'm not I like I'm playing this game. I don't want to die. But what does this mean from Soft? And I think even when they called it curse or terror or all of the other stuff that they've called it, like they've taken off the facade of yeah, this is just insta death, and they're calling it just death now, which I've like cheeky. Okay, I'm okay with that. You've removed the pretense, but it was easier to understand when there was that pretense. It's like ups your resistance to curse would make so much more sense than ups your resistance to death.
It's such,
Why?
it's so janky. I don't understand.
No,
I
and they
don't
are
understand.
terrified of putting numbers in anything. It's like increases your HP, stamina, and equipment load.
Increases your HP by orders of magnitude. The heat death of the universe is innumerable, inseparable from how much HP you get. And you see in the the stats count, it's like plus 1%.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
And in Elden Ring specifically, yeah, right. Item description makes you die less. How? Good fucking
Who the
luck
fuck
finding
knows?
out. Yeah, it's like
I don't know. We certainly
it's
don't know.
it's insane that this company depends on frankly the modding community to figure out how stuff works and tell
It's
the rest of the community that.
it was only very recently that we got a full understanding of how Dark Souls 3 poise works.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the
that was
wiki
in like the
page for
last
it,
2 years.
I just want to go check what the wiki page for it, like how many paragraphs it is. We're gonna look at this. Right? Are you ready for this? One, two, three, four, five, 6 paragraphs, and that's the intro summary. That's just the how poise works section.
Yeah. 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 And it, like, I wouldn't even say that poise works in Dark Souls 3
It
because
does,
it,
but it's not what you want it to work like.
no. It's like, why did you even put this in? Why?
Okay, okay, but just for in general on stats themselves and their usefulness, it's interesting. Like I understand the like the presenting of all this information. Like this stat is your resistance to this type of status. This stat is your resistance to this type of status. But mainly due to like how it's all presented and just like this blotch of words and numbers, you're never really given the opportunity to uh like have it all available to you to figure out
it is it is very tough
succinctly.
to make a proper equipment set when you don't understand what half of your equipment is doing to benefit you or not.
Yeah. Like it's a lot more manageable once you actually know what all of that is doing.
Yeah.
And like sure some things like resistance to death are just stupid, but okay, whatever. It's your resistance to curse. And if you want this, then cool.
Yeah. And so I've taught a lot of people how to play these games. I've been playing these games since Dark Souls 1. It is the biggest hurdle that people have is figuring out what the stats are, what they mean, and how mechanics in the game work. And that's all I teach them. It's like, this is what this is. This is what this does. You push this button, this happens. When this happens, you have iframes here, you don't have iframes here. If you block, it uses up stamina, so you gotta watch out. It's like, you just teach people the mechanics a little bit, teach them how to understand, and they will go in and engage with it as much as they want to. And I've gotten several people into the games very fervently by just explaining, yeah, this is what this actually means. Sorry that they worded it this way. I like,
Yeah.
ugh,
That is I think where Dark Souls hard comes from because mainly understanding what anything does is the hard part.
yes,
Everything else is basically just a reactionary test to varying degrees and can often be circumvented nearly entirely by certain builds or other types of ability to respond to whatever the game is throwing at you. The greatest difficulty I think in like getting into Dark Souls is figuring out what the fuck anything means.
yeah,
Ring the Bell of Awakening?
yep.
Okay.
And like the first time I played, I forgot what the Bell of Awakening even was. Like I did the tutorial, I made it to Firelink Shrine, I went up to um, Undead Burg, forgot the name of it there for a second. We got there.
It's
I
the
went up to
bird.
Undead Burg, and then I had to like stop playing for a week because I got busy. And when I came back, I was like, so I remember how to move, I remember how to attack. Um, I don't remember anything else.
I
I
don't
don't
know
know what
who
I'm
I am.
doing.
I don't know where I am. All I know is that I must kill.
Straight up. That meme is so perfect for the experience of getting back to a Souls game
Yeah.
after you've set it down for a while. And if you haven't put in the work to try to understand what the fuck any of it is, it's like it's so hard to get back into, and part of me likes that. I like that there is lore and stuff for you to go get. But that is a steep wall for average players to get into. It is very steep, and I'm more than happy for FromSoft to cater specifically to an audience that they have built. But very clearly with Elden Ring, they are trying to cater to the wider audience. And if you're going to do that, you should commit to it. And having a talisman that says ups your resistance to death is not that.
Holy shit! I'm actually gonna be Millennia. I got all the talismans that give me resistance to death. Let me solo her. Let's go.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Oh god.
Casual
So okay.
players have such a
To answer,
steep hill.
uh, yeah, to answer your question, Code. A Bell of Awakening, Dark Souls 1. As far as I understand, are two bells that you can find in the game world after the gargoyles in Undead Parish and after Quelaag in Blighttown. And bringing both of them the awakens Frampt and Ring opens the gate to Sen's Fortress, both of which allow you to get to Anor Londo and actually begin the whole thing to fucking stab Gwyn in his old wrinkled face.
Yeah. The Bells of Awakening are just there to essentially keep the chosen undead busy for a while, and it's like to make them prove their worth. It's like prove that you can do this, and then we'll open up Sen's Fortress as the next challenge, and then Anor Londo is the next challenge. And after that, you've proven your worth. You may go on to try to, decide the fate of this world, which, as far as you know, the first playthrough through, it's just, oh, I'm supposed to go succeed Gwyn. You don't really understand what that means. You don't necessarily have to. It's just, that's what I'm supposed to do. I think that Dark Souls 1 does really well at giving you enough information to tell you to go to a place and do a thing, even if you don't fully understand the mechanics of why. It's like Oscar frees you from your prison cell and then asks you for a favor. It's like, okay, I'm inclined to go do that because you gave me a way to heal and you let me out of my cage. It's like, that's cool. You didn't have to do that, but I appreciate that you did. I'll go investigate this thing. And then you find
Sure
out,
hope you
oh,
don't
there's two
become
things I
undead
have to
and
do.
attack me later.
Yeah, right. At least he warned you about that.
Oh yeah. He's like, oh, come
I
on, man, get out. I can feel myself. My brain's going. Oh no.
I got the tism. You gotta go. Yeah, like
I can feel the extra chromosome going there already. Oh no. I'm
Yes,
very sorry.
I'm not sorry. That's hilarious. Um, but it gives you enough to like go do things. And then there's Elden Ring, and it's like the Elden Ring is a thing, maybe. You're supposed to go try to fix it, maybe. And the gods that you're supposed to listen to are the two fingers, kinda. But everybody else in the world, other than people devoted to them, are telling you, yeah, these guys are kind of loony. It's like, I don't know. They don't. What drives me to do anything in Elden Ring is just like the gameplay. I want to explore the world because it looks pretty, and I want to
Yeah.
find whatever's there. I don't know what's happening in the story, and I knew what was happening in the story in Dark Souls 1, and kinda in Dark Souls 2, and kinda in Dark Souls 3.
It's
And
weird
Demon
because like
Souls was even more straightforward.
understanding the lore now, and especially having done like the final boss and like seeing a lot of lore discussion, there's like a huge theme for propaganda in both Dark Souls 1 and the Elden Ring.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like it's specifically religious propaganda, and you can see that coming around in a lot of NPCs you interact with and all, different endings you can get. But it also leads to like this weird
Go on.
uh, confusion in the player of like, why am I doing this? What's going on here? Because
Yeah,
everyone's telling you different things, and while in a way that's cool, and I like that there's a story that does that. I also don't think it's uh, done extremely well.
yeah. There are ways to do that and do it well. Yeah, the game just wants you to. It points you in a direction and says, "Go kill a thing," and that's fine. That's all a lot of players need. I mean, that's all I needed whenever I went through Dark Souls 2 the first time. It's all I
Yeah,
needed when I went through Dark Souls 3 the first time. It's just point me in a direction. I have a weapon. I'm gonna go murder everything on my way there, and that works relatively well. But for players that want more, there are people like myself who want a reason that I'm doing things other than go kill. I want to understand what's happening in the world and what my character's place in it is, and what are my choices? What am I doing? Why am I doing this?
I think the biggest problem for me personally in how the game presents its story is that you don't understand the significance of who you're fighting until maybe the second time you fought them. And
Yeah.
this, of course, is not as much of an issue for Sekiro. There's some bosses that this still happens to,
Yeah, to be
or
fair, I
or
understood everything of what was happening in Sekiro.
yeah. But
Sekiro
you
is the
understand
most
why Ishin,
straightforward.
for instance, is such a fucking badass. You understand
Yes.
why it's
God, I
a big
love that man.
moment when he comes out of Jenny Kiro's butthole or something, not his neck,
Yeah.
and he comes down to face you, and you're like, holy shit, the Glockstein is here to play.
Yes.
But when you fight Godfrey in Elden Ring, and he transforms into Horaloo,
I yeah, I
and
didn't
here
even
comes Horaloo with the steel chair.
pretty much. I didn't even know why I was fighting Godfrey. It's like he's come back. Isn't that a good thing? Doesn't this mean that like he and I can work together to open up the Erd Tree? Why is he attacking me? Is he mad that I killed Morgott? Like, yeah, sorry. Sorry.
To
But
be fair, Morgott is his son.
yeah. But I mean, like he was in my way and you weren't around. What else am I supposed to do? Like this is my fate. Yeah. Yeah, why was he gone?
We can assume that he was swimming from the Badlands back to the lands between. He just swam the whole way.
Yeah, you can
He
assume
only
that.
just
But
made
then
it back.
like he's made it back and the Tarnished are descendants of him.
Yeah,
We're like part of his clan. Why are we fighting him?
it was in an alternate intro for the game. It was Godfrey that actually delivered the intro dialogue and referred to you as a member of his clan that he was sent to the Badlands with,
Yeah.
which in a way I find a lot more pressing for like the emotional relevance of that moment because holy shit, you're fighting your commander in chief for
Yeah.
some reason, but
And it doesn't even make sense unless you do like the frenzied flame ending, or you intend to like choose a bad ending or go against the current order of the world. Then it makes sense. If you're doing the Ronnie ending, it makes sense. But it does not make sense if you're just playing through the first time and you're trying to do what the world is telling you to do. Why am I fighting this man? He says he's the first Elden Lord. Um, isn't that a good thing? Don't we want an Elden Lord to fix the Elden Ring? Why am I fighting you, sir?
I
The fight is
even
fantastic,
even
but
for
why
me,
am I
it
fighting
makes
you?
sense mainly in hindsight, and that's like kind of stretching around the lore as per the propaganda kind of stuff. But on your first run, where you first see him, it's just a matter of more confusion than anything. Like the story doesn't hit as well, despite it being still as strong when you know all the factors that are in play.
Yeah, yeah. I find the story much more interesting having I'm like 7 playthroughs deep now. It's like I find it much more interesting now than I did on my first run through, and I understand it better. But that still doesn't mean that the first run through is a problem. Because I knew what I was doing in Dark Souls 1 in the first time. Granted, I was lost for a bit until I talked to Frampt and got like a real good idea, and I was able to play the game more consistently. But I understood what I was doing once I had the information presented. This game does not present you the information until the very end of the game.
I will give it credit for its intro spiel here. Like you understand why you're being put out into the world, and you understand what has happened to have the world be as it is right now.
Yeah,
But then it goes very lax on that. Like you understand why Godric and all these major players aren't important in the grand scheme of things, being shard bearers. Like they hold the spicy Amazon gift card. But yes, that is the bare
yes.
minimum. That is just like all the setup to the game. My big point is that it's more than what was presented, especially in Dark Souls 3, and I suppose equivalent to Dark Souls 1, but more so that Dark Souls 1 introduces its basics throughout the course of the early game, other than an intro spiel.
Yeah, I think the intro video that they give you in Dark Souls 1 is the best that they have done, as well as the tutorial where you talk to Oscar and he gives you your starting purpose. You know, go to Lordran, go find the Bell of Awakening. You are the next chosen undead. That is what you're supposed to do to discover what your true fate is. Go do it. And, you know, like I said, he has at least earned a favor. He set you free and he gave you a health flask.
That's a very good, for that point, that is a very good emotional, kind of relevant. It gets you going and at least gives you a reason why you might be heading out in the world stabbing things until they die.
Yeah, it starts you out, and that's all you need, is you just need a reason to start. And I think that this game gives you a reason to start ish, and then like doesn't give you anything else for a long time. It's like I'm 60 hours in, I have murdered a lot of the large players of this world, and I'm not sure that that's a good thing. What am I doing here?
Like you don't even know why you're teleported to Fair Missoula or why you're heading to Fire Giant until the thing that you were supposed to do is already done, and they make a comment about, "Holy shit, you fucking killed the world because this thing happened." You're like, "Oh, I did that thing."
Yeah.
Are you ready to commit a heretical act? I don't know. Am I?
Yeah, I was like, what?
Like, what kind of heretical act? We stealing for somebody? We calling out God? We having sex with the vampire lady? What's going on here?
Yeah, and it's like you make it through the game, you've made it to the Erd Tree, and the Erd Tree spurns you, I guess, which I didn't totally understand on my first playthrough. I was just like, oh, I have something else I have to do. And then Melon is like, we're gonna burn this tree to the ground. And I was like, what?
Why is this necessary? I'm sure we have an Elden chainsaw somewhere. The
Right?
sacred Elden chainsaw housed by the farmer market.
Is
Ver
there
ver.
not something else that could be done to get through these, like, it's wood, right? Like, it's a tree.
No, but you don't understand. It's a magic wood. And if it's magic, we don't got to explain shit.
And if we have to burn the whole tree down to open up a little doorway, like the player character is small.
Yeah,
That is
but
a
like
huge
you'll get
crack
scratched
in the
a little bit
tree.
going through the storm. Just like skim me on through.
That
You,
crack in the tree is big. The player
cold cup
character is
sword.
small. You just need like some clippers, you know?
You can snap it. You gotta snap it up a little bit.
Yeah, you're just cutting your way through like a wire fencing basically. It's just click 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 click, make a tiny hole, scoot through.
At the very
That's it.
least, it is not that one roadblock in Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
alternatively, that one in Belfry Soul.
Yeah.
Less important, but about as frustrating.
Very very frustrating.
What's this? A waist high wall? God damn it! I've been bamboozled.
Yep. Yep. And I thought we wouldn't have that anymore in Elden Ring because like in Demon Souls you have the ability to jump over waist high walls. It's great. I really miss that. In Dark Souls 1 I accept that we don't have that. But in all of the other games it's like why can't I do this? Why? And then Elden Ring you're given the ability to jump. I was like, "All right.
Let's
There will
fucking
no
go.
longer be waist high walls that defy me."
No, it turns out it's actually small spaces.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that moment we could be made a lot more manageable if it was explained around better. Like
Yeah.
maybe reinforcing the fact that the Earth Tree is like a living godlike entity, at least in the world, that would not take very kindly to being cut down. But yeah, maybe the magic fire of the fell god could work because it's like godly entity against godly entity, and that's pretty much what's going on in the game already. But it's not explained that well.
Yeah. And the only like eventually you realize that it's all propaganda and that the tarnished aren't supposed to make it that far. Like the greater will doesn't want that.
Mhm.
But you don't know that when you first get there. And so it's like why can't I just talk to the tree? Why can't I just
Yo,
talk to the greater
yo,
will?
wood bark up there. You want to take a spout for a minute or take a listen? If you could just like toss out the roots a little bit, that'd be really nice. If we could all go home happy.
Yeah, it's
The
like, why
ring
can't
can
I
be
just
restored.
whip out a prattling pate that says "Let me in"? You know?
You're beautiful.
Yeah, it's like there are other situations in this game where you can talk about stuff. Why? Why? But anyway, we are way
That's
off track.
Yeah. We gotta go
Circling
back to
back
the
around.
rating the Dark Souls games. I feel like I've
Yes.
spoken my major piece on Dark Souls 3. I enjoyed it a lot my first time through, as most people would with I think many of their first like proper Souls game that they get through and they're like, holy shit.
Oh yeah.
The introduction to the formula is, uh, while about as spicy in any of the games, it is similarly presented and just generally exciting to learn. Like that moment where you're going through the graveyard in Undead Settlement, I think, and the giant shooting arrows at you, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
like the first major boss defeat when I first took down Vort, or I took down the dancer after like hours of trying. And it was just like, wow,
Yes.
wow, wow, look at me. Or that feeling
Yeah.
of like having your shield up around every corner because you're not quite sure if the thing around the next area is going to be an item or is going to be a baddie. We're going to tear you limb from limb.
Pretty
It's
much.
all it's all presented about as exceptionally well, but with hindsight, I think on average, Dark Souls 3, while great in many aspects, it suffers in many others, which is why I keep it on at the rating I do. 6 to 7, but probably around an 8 on my first run.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Dark Souls 1, then, which is the next one I got into. Uh, ooh, that first half is exceptionally well made.
Yes.
I would say it's. Ooh, I would say it would probably be 8 or 9. I wouldn't rank it as perfect because there's some problems with that first half, as good as it might be overall. At least for me,
Yeah. I think that's
like
fair.
there's a general Dark Souls inconsistencies that have just become standard for the formula at this point. Like the fact that the poison swamp became very popular here. Blighttown in general with its 30 FPS hitching.
Yes. Ugh. Ugh. Prepare to Die
And,
edition still gives me
God,
PTSD.
and the various just problems, especially technically with the PC port of Prepare to Die. I'll put it around an 8, and for me that's a very good score. It's nearing short of near perfect or literally the embodiment of what a game it should be. Like nothing more could be done with it off the top of your head. It's like, okay, just leave it as this. Don't mess with it. It's not a 10. It's not really a 9, so I'll leave it as an 8. For the second half, oh God. It has good moments. It has tear-jerking moments. Solaire not finding his own son, and is it Siegmeyer in Dark Souls 1?
Yeah.
Siegmeyer committing suicide after believing he's not good enough in Lost Island. Like those character moments and some various encounters are still quite good, but yeah, probably a 4, maybe 3. Like it dips very hard,
It does.
and
It is a
and
steep cliff after Anor Londo.
yeah, and mechanically, I just have a hard time getting through it. If I were to count the DLC as part of the second half, since I usually like it treated as that, as like its only uh, upside,
Yeah.
it'd probably be around a 6 overall for what the DLC adds to the table. It's basically an alternate ending to the game if you don't want to go through everything to get to fighting Gwen again. And I mean, whatever, you're fighting Manos. That's pretty sick. It's pretty nice.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that's
But I
fair.
basically have to count Dark Souls 1 early game and Dark Souls 2 mid to end game as two entirely separate beasts because I don't like them.
Yeah, it
I,
is. It is a vast change
yeah. So yeah,
from the
first half
first half.
8 out of 10. Second half with with the DLC included there is more of 5 or 6. Probably more of 5. It just because that's taking the second half all together. So yeah,
Yeah,
probably more of a 5. It's just an average experience at that point with some highlights. So then, what the game I said I beat next? Dark Souls 2, or not beat, but
yeah.
experienced quite a lot of. I think I got near to the final boss and got through part of the DLC for that game
My
before quitting out
condolences.
on it entirely. Dark Souls 2 has many good moments, and I can understand why someone might enjoy it dearly even more than Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 3 themselves. But there's also elements to it that I just don't like, and also elements that I don't like about Elden Ring. They share some similar negatives in places. Like Majula is hands down for me the best hub area in a Souls game yet.
Interesting.
Like the hunter's the hunter's dream, whatever it's called from Bloodborne.
Yeah, that's the hunter's
Firelink
dream.
Shrine from 1 or 3, or even Roundtable. I don't think any of them compare to Majula, if just for its atmosphere and its music, both of which are just exceptional. You'll find a whole bunch of characters throughout the game that return there. It actually gets pretty lively near around the mid game,
It does.
which is characters that you can talk to and play interact with. Emerald Herald's there. Everything just it feels like a really nice hub one that does connect to some other tasks throughout the game, at least starting them out. And I do like that a lot. I like Bajula in of itself just a lot, and especially the music, which is just undoubtedly the best track in that game.
I would tentatively agree with that. I I can't think off the top of my head of any music from Dark Souls 2 that is better than Majula.
Majula.
Yes.
Uh, the visual diversity in Dark Souls 2 is also quite wonderful, especially at times. What was it? The underground area after? Is it after uh the castle during the castle with the Demon of Song?
Yes.
I forget what
Yes.
that area is called, but I like the blue lighting to it and just like the serenity to it. The enemies in there are horrible. I hate them a lot. But
Something Shrine of
Shrine of
Amana.
Amana? Yeah. Shrine
That's
of
the one.
Amana. That area is in of itself gorgeous. Drain Lake Castle is also just very dramatic. It's a very cinematically dramatic presentation. It feels larger than life with like the rain, the lightning, uh, the mirror knight on top of the building.
Yes.
Even the Twin Dragon Slayers, while themselves not quite a good fight, do add, I think, to Drain Lake Castle as a whole.
It
It's
it has an exceptional presentation, I think.
uh, and I could give that merit to a lot of areas throughout Dark Souls too, even Iron Keep or Harvest Valley. So many areas with a very distinct um, visual identity to them. The part I think Dark Souls 2 suffers the most is in its moment to moment gameplay with the enemy groups that you can encounter and some level design of the area. there's parts like I'm not sure if I like or if I dislike like that area under Harvest Valley with the like the poison tunnels
Yes.
you're just scrambling around in. Like, I like the desperation to it and just like not even fucking sure what the hell is going on, but you're just scared and it's very terrifying.
Yeah.
I like that element to it, but I it can't, eh, eh. Otherwise, I don't know. The ganks in especially the Skull the First Edition are also
Horrendous.
very infamous at this point,
Yes.
especially in Dark Souls 2, where it kind of kept that same classic Dark Souls level design, where you're pretty much going through an area bonfire by bonfire, just scratching for the next one where we can find it.
Yep.
So there's really no way to get around the ganks like you can in Elden Ring, where they may appear.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Ooh,
Now it's time for the number.
yeah.
Mwahaha.
Mm. Oh, it's difficult. Because Dark Souls 2 has some very good moments. Like its presentation in Majula, some of its bosses are very iconic to the Soul series at this point, like Fume Knight, Sir Alone. But it also has like those other areas. Oh God, how could I forget? Who was it? That the dude, Frozen William Noyce. No, 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 not the wasteland, but like the one where you go down to hell basically to fight him with his own knights.
Yeah, Ivory King.
Every king, yes, like that. The major DLC bosses in particular, and some bosses throughout the vanilla main game are quite memorable,
Oh yeah.
but mainly just in the moment-to-moment gameplay of Dark Souls 2, I have to cut it down quite a lot. As as fun as many of the uh, a- areas are themselves visually, like traversing them in a way, like that spider web area to get down to, I think it's, God, I can't remember the name of these bosses at
I
all.
can't remember her name either. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like going down through the mining area and then the spider webs leading down to Freya.
Yeah,
That's her name.
Freya. Yeah, and like traversing the webs and all of that, like that's very unique level design stuff to take. It provides a very, yeah, not really worldly, but I'll go with the tried and true word of immersion for how it places you in the world.
Yeah.
But the gameplay of it, I think, really suffers a lot from like the input in general of Dark Souls 2. It has a very slow and weighty, or not really weighty, but slow and floaty kind of feeling
Yeah.
sometimes. However, I will give it special credit for its visceral animations because those backstabs are just
True.
phenomenal. Mm.
When they work, yeah, those
Yeah.
backstabs are lovely. As are the parry riposte animations.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like that feels so good when you get it right.
Dark Souls 2 has a lot of interesting things going for it, but it's held back by the lack of time it was given in order to make those ideas work.
Yeah.
There was there was so much going on in its development cycle, and so many ideas just went up, went down, went up, went down over and over again. That anything that worked just had no time to be polished like it should have been. And I think Dark Souls 2 would be an exceptional game if it was given that chance to grow.
Yeah.
Not in the Scholar of the First Sin direction, apparently, but more in
Yeah.
the original version's direction.
If it was properly polished, I think it would be a lot better.
Yeah. So for the ideas and stuff that Dark Souls here presents against its moment-to-moment gameplay that you kind of go through to get through the game, I will probably give it a 6 out of 10. No, no. No, yeah, I'll give it a 6 out of 10, and Dark Souls 3 can remain a solid 7.
I, I,
Actually, Dark Souls 2 gets 5.
I. That's fair. That's fair. So what about Bloodborne and Sekiro?
Oh yeah, Bloodborne Sekiro. Okay. Mm, Sekiro, I would rate. Yeah, that'll be the next one. Sekiro, I would rate very, very highly. It has moderately minor drawbacks for me, negatives that I think hold it. You were waiting until I got to Sekiro. Like you were listening very closely on everything I said about Dark Souls 2, but Sekiro, I know. I hope I gave it just a fair ranking overall. I think I did. Ignore the red dot under. Oh God! Oh no! I don't even have a window open to the outside right now. It's all covered. I guess that's coming from my computer itself. Anyway, so Sekiro. Holy shit! Overall, from like start to finish, I would say it's probably the most polished game FromSoft has made yet. It in
I would
mainly
probably
everything
agree
it
with
sets
that.
out to do, I think it does well, if not exceptionally well. There's some moments where I may wonder what it was like. What if this got like a bit more to? What if this was fleshed out a little bit more? Like I still think that game deserves a sort of DLC to
Truly, one of the games
just
ever
add
made.
more to it. Truly one of the games. Is it Morbin time? Sekiro in time?
It's Morbin time. Somebody called Tonald. His comment section just showed up.
Okay, holy shit. So,
Yeah,
Sam, I'm more. It be Morbin time though.
it really do.
When in doubt, time for Morbs. So, God, oh fuck. Ooh shit, ass. Oh boy.
Sekiro.
Visually, visually, I like Sekiro a lot. It just all in general. Its presentation of the landscape, of its story of the world itself, it so very well presents what it hopes to. Like especially in areas like Mibu Village, where you have the or Fountainhead Palace in particular, with the nobles playing their flutes,
Yes.
amidst the almost tropical, very serene waterfall Indian palace,
Yep.
and those other dudes playing soccer right into your fucking face,
Yep.
and especially set pieces like the Divine Dragon. And you're right, yeah, areas don't feel unfinished. I can't think of an area in Sekiro that I would think, oh man, developers really had to focus on Fountainhead Palace instead for this one, huh?
Yeah. I feel like Sekiro is very well rounded and crafted in that way.
Mm.
It's like they got across everything that they wanted to.
I think my main problem with Sekiro is less a fault of the game and more of like I want more out of it. Like what it's shown us so far is very well. It's just very well done. I I legitimately want them to take a look at maybe doing a DLC for that game, a sequel. Who knows?
I'd be down for a Sekiro too.
Yeah, I certainly would be. And Resurrection for me actually.
Well, we're working on that. That's
We are actually considering a lot of the design influence from Sekiro, like a lot of design influence from Sekiro, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that later in the stream.
if not this
Or
stream, then future ones. Yeah,
yes,
definitely. We will we will definitely
We gotta be grappling.
Yeah. What? I blow on my
Gwyn
magic
knows
ring.
Sekiro jumps as high as the fucking horse anyway,
He does.
and as far actually.
My man's basically flies and
Woo!
hardly ever
No,
takes
not
fall
fly.
damage.
Just jump good. Oh, that's a Samurai Jack reference, and I haven't even seen the show. I've just seen clips. What am I doing?
You haven't seen the
Anyway,
show?
I have not seen the show. No, just clips.
Oh,
Literally just clips.
oh boy, you gotta get on that.
I might need to do that. So anyway, fuck. Sekiro, I would give a 9 out of 10 for pretty much the definition I stated earlier of Dark Souls 3. It's near a sort of perfection, but it's not a 10 out of 10 because I can think of something I would, I, I, I can think of things I would want done with that game.
Yeah,
Like the Spirit Emblems system, for instance, is kind of restrictive. I don't really like it. I like what mods do with it, in particular Resurrection, for actually giving you extra spirit emblems on Deathblow that I think are lost in death. Like they're not permanent; they're just part of that singular life. Yeah, skill
yeah,
tree too. Like you have a few that introduce mechanics, but it's mainly just you want to get them all anyway.
pretty much.
Yeah,
There's,
and some of the combat arts are kind of duty. There's a good sort of meta when it comes to combat arts.
yeah,
Yeah. Like
for
Mikiri
sure.
counter, you always want that on pretty much every run. You're never not going to get that.
Yeah, it is practically necessary for beating the game. If you don't want to like overly suffer, you need Makiri counter.
Just for, but overall, just for how well rounded Sekiro is. For the fact that it can be modded, and so it allows for stuff like Sekiro Resurrection and other things. And just like how polished of an experience it is, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. But I cannot give it a 10, obviously.
Yeah,
It has drawbacks, but overall, I think it is FromSoft's best structured game that they've released so far, with a combat system that's wholly its own. But I would never understand why the fuck resting in a Buddha respawns enemies.
yeah.
I have to assume it's something about rebirth and shit. But okay.
I would assume. Who knows?
Also, the music in that game is pretty consistently good.
It is. I think Sekiro probably has the most consistent music of all of the
The
games.
best game is Armored Core. No, it's definitely Kingsfield One.
The Kingsfield games scare me.
I have not played a Kingsfield game yet. I keep hearing a lot about them, and I'm like, this might be interesting. I will be sure to get on that. Maybe never.
They made a game
Holy
called
shit! The
Eternal
Elden
Ring.
Ring sequel. It's already been released. They knew how good. They knew how well the prequel would be received. Elden Ring is actually a prequel to Eternal Ring.
Dang.
Truly ahead of their time.
Truly. Gotta
Hold on, let
change
me just.
his name from Miyazaki to Nostradamus.
From Software have also released The Adventures of Cookie and Cream for the PlayStation 2. Rated E for everyone. It got a 65 aggregate score on Metacritic on the DS version and a 78 out of 100 on the PlayStation 2 version.
Interesting.
Thanks. Thanks From Software for your legendary artistically innovative games.
Yes.
So yeah, Sekiro gets a 9 out of 10. Uh,
Alright.
Dark Souls 3 with 7 out of 10. Dark Souls 1 with 8 out of 10 for the initial game. And the second half doesn't matter, so we don't talk about it. And Dark Souls 2 gets that cool beans 5 or 6 out of 10. Who fucking knows? And now for Bloodborne. Bloodborne is an interesting one for me. Because there's a lot of things I like about the game, and there's things I don't like more personally than I think anything. A fair number of the bosses in vanilla Bloodborne are kind of okay. In
Yeah.
the same way that a lot of the bosses in vanilla Dark Souls 3 are pretty okay. I still don't understand why you kill the wet nurse and then the game is over. Like, as for everything I know about Bloodborne's lore, I still don't fucking know why killing the wet nurse means the game is over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, that's the final. Oh no, Gurman's the final. Well, okay, it doesn't help that Gurman's really easy,
Yeah.
especially since I did him after defeating the DLC or beating the DLC. And it's like, okay,
I don't know if I even like consider the game done until you do Cos. It's like
yeah,
Cos is the mechanically
boss
and
is the final boss, pretty
spiritual
much.
like end of the game.
Yeah, like there's a lot of bosses in vanilla Bloodborne that are just okay to good, I guess. Like the
Yeah.
one reborn celestial emissaries, as I said before, like Abritus, the Shadows of Yarnum, Murgo's Wet. Well, Murgo's Wet Nurse is pretty good. Um,
It's interesting, I think.
Bloodstarved Beast. There's like this whole portion in like through the middle half of the game where it's just okay, 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 okay. Then you get something like Gurman. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I think the reason that game is rated so exceptionally many people's like top 10 games of all time list is absolutely the fact that the DLC happened.
Lunar mushrooms. Yeah, those were not.
They were the best boss. They were the boss of all time with the gameplay of ever gameplay. It's the it's definitely the
I like that they decided to make their player base into a boss.
oh yeah, living failures.
Yeah. It's like they were like this is our people. We will
Woo!
put them into our game.
It's one of the best soundtracks in that fucking game because
That
you got
is.
to celebrate your failures, especially when they're alive and have a digestive system or something. I'm gonna fucking some meteors from the sky. But yeah, the reason that game I think is rated so highly in many people's top 10 is that the DLC is kind of outstanding.
It is.
Like like there are five bosses generally I hear in people's top tens for that game, and three of them are in the DLC,
Yeah.
and the other two are pretty much just like honorable mentions, like
Yeah.
fucking Gurman and maybe Father Gascalone. Yes,
It,
Gascalone. Would you
I
prefer I said Gascan?
I think Gascan is
Gastronomus, Nostradamus.
gastronomus. That just makes it sounds like he has a gas problem. It's like take some Beano, man.
Turns a man beast like.
Pretty
It'll
much.
be one of them sooner or later.
Yeah. I I guess I mildly have the hot take that there's only like three good bosses in the entirety of Bloodborne, and that's like the second phase of Ludwig and Maria and Cos.
Hey, I would say Vicar of Melee is pretty good. All things considered.
The frame rate though,
Oh yeah, the frame rate.
and the
It's a
hitboxes for
shame.
like her two-handed smash and some of the other stuff she does, like it's jank. I like
It's
it.
a huge shame to me that every conversation about rating Bloodborne will eventually have to go back to the fact that it's on the Magic Box owned by Sony
Yes.
only.
Yes.
It is forever held back by the fact that it's only on that Magic Box.
Yes.
And pretty much anyone who's ever played it is like, why the fuck is this not on anything else?
Yeah.
PC, please?
Absolutely. It is a huge point against Bloodborne is that it is limited to PlayStation 4 and
20
that the
frames
frame
per
rate
monster's
suffers.
ass on the screen.
Yeah. The frame rate suffers so much because of it. And as a result, the game as a whole suffers. Like it would be so much better just being at 60 frames a second.
Yeah. There
It
are
would
things I like
improve.
a lot about Bloodborne, especially mechanically. I
Yeah.
think mechanically that is Bloodborne's biggest strength, and similar to Sekiro in that way. The rally system, the fucking just like the sheer aggressional nature, the trick weapons, the blood gems, like the
Yeah,
fact that you can customize your weapon in that way. All these I think are very, very strong. And they're pretty much specifically Bloodborne.
pretty much. Yeah.
With the gems only really being brought back as a national or technically
Eh, ish.
can't really swap them or different add-in notes. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But a lot of those mechanics, and especially with how good the trick weapon system feels and how unique it can make a single playthrough just from your choice in weapon, makes is in of itself really good. It kicks Bloodborne up there a lot.
Oh yeah.
Secondarily, the music is, I think, still the best they've done is in Bloodborne.
I would agree. I think Bloodborne has the best soundtrack overall.
Like, of course, Sekiro is good. Elden Ring, I think, is quite good overall for, well, the boss themes, area
Yeah.
themes
Blades of
are a
Mercy are
different
a
story.
lot of fun.
Like the highlights of Elden Ring, highlights of Dark Souls 3, the highlights of all Souls games, they're all good. They're nice. They're great listens. But Bloodborne is just bangers.
It is. And you know, I'm I think done with Dark Souls as a series. It's like the games that we have are fine. I don't like DS2, but the story told over them is fine. It's done. I'm happy to have Elden Ring and more games that are Souls like. But as for the Dark Souls games, it's done. I would accept a
I
Sekiro 2, but I don't need it. I need more Bloodborne. Like I the number of times I have considered securing like a PlayStation 4 or 5 just for Bloodborne in the time since I've played it, like I it I just need more Bloodborne. It is such an interesting idea, and the world that is somewhat crafted in there, it's like there's a lot of problems with the world building, there's a lot of problems with the story and presentation and stuff, but it just has so much going for it and so much style to it. And FromSoft seemingly has just abandoned it, and they're not interested in doing anything else with that IP. And like, why? It is
bro,
so good.
who the fuck doesn't want more trick weapons? Honestly, another
Yeah.
iteration of that game's Moonlight Greatsword.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and Eve, if you didn't know, you can get a Shura costume for Sekiro 1 as part of one of the Gauntlet rewards for the Shura ending. So, yes, but I do understand that Sekiro 2, like a whole game bait around. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
At least a fucking DLC, please, from Soft, come on.
I would happily accept Sekiro 2.
Yeah. Like we may like you may not need it, but it still would be quite a highlight if it happened,
Oh
basically.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Bloodborne has a lot of good stuff for it. The music, the world design to it, the layering and its implementation of I don't really know what to call Bloodborne's horror because it's not really cosmic horror so much to me as cosmic horror involves a lot of unknowing and mystery that I don't think Bloodborne hits the way I interpret the best pieces of cosmic horror. It certainly has a lot of elements, like major elements that are cosmic themed, like Murgo's wet nurse, how you can't even see it
Yeah.
particularly, but you can assume it's there. You just can't perceive its existence, which is very cosmic horror. Mhm. That's ooh,
That's that good stuff.
yeah, that is that good stuff. But stuff like the one Reborn doesn't hit that for me, and I tell this to you as well, but just reinterpreting it here for the stream, of course. Best cosmic horrors you like? A post modern RPG. I would need to have you look on the brain for sure.
I've never
And
heard of that.
so that's why I'm like often very confused on what's it called Bloodborne. Oh no! Don't look. Oh no.
Oh boy. I am sorry to have ruined your meme.
I would assume that's why it's cosmic horrific.
Oh no.
So what would you define Bloodborne's horror genre as, if not quite cosmic horror all the way through?
I don't know if I would go cosmic horror, because cosmic horror to me is more towards like. Cosmic horror specifically emphasizes the insignificance of
Yeah.
existence. It is like anything that you do, the amount of
Bloodborne's aggression is
things that
certainly
you
not
do in your life,
insignificant. Yeah.
it is insignificant to the broader universe. The universe keeps going. The multiverse like spans an infinite spectrum of things that you will never even be able to comprehend. It's like everything you do is insignificant. I would classify Bloodborne more in the eldritch horror sort of subgenre. It's like it has some aspects that are sort of that unknowable, incomprehensible thing. But it's just like this. It is the old gods and the horrors that they wrought, and a society that tried to move on and fell back into the trap of this old way.
Okay.
And is suffering the consequences therein.
Yeah. I think eldritch horror would probably be the best way to explain it, because that also kind of implies the monsters of like eldritch lore that happens quite a lot, and its themes. There's elements of cosmic horror, but it mainly boils down to like eldritch influence and like how humanity is affected by this. I think that's probably the best categorization of Bloodborne seems I could get. Yeah.
So what would you rate it?
So yeah, the rating. Ooh, the rating. The areas are quite good. The structure as a whole, the Yarnum, very nice. The mechanics are great. It's weird because I feel like I want to rate it like an 8 or 9, but I don't know exactly what's holding it back. For me.
The frames.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, okay, yeah, no, yeah. 8 out of 10. It's only on the fucking magic box sold by Sony. Can we move? Let's move forward.
Oh yeah.
8
Yeah.
out of 10 because it's on the magic box sold by Sony. So that docks a point. And another point because I don't like I want to see more out of it. Like in the same vein of Sekiro, I think there's more it can do, and there's more polish you can have, and like just an insane variety of bosses and things that can be done in that world that are just not there. It feels like Bloodborne is the introduction. But
yeah, it's a proof of concept almost. And there's more that can be done with it, and it's a shame that more hasn't been done with it.
So yeah, 8 out of 10. That's very nearly just like a solid staircase from Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 3, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Dark Souls 1, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and then that's pretty much the ladder.
Yep.
Which I think is probably a lot more like that's a soft take. I'm sure a lot of people could see the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the ranking for, at least my ranking for each of the various modern FromSoft games that they've done.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I would probably disagree only on a couple of them. So I will, because we're almost at like 2 hours now. My goodness. I will go through quickly my experience and my rating for the games, and then we can start talking about elderly rangs. So I am
2 hours into the stream.
Yes, right. You know, it happens. It's fine.
I
am very
Is
experienced.
it obvious that we've been waiting to get into the stream for a while now?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Now that I have good internet.
I don't even feel nearly done, but Jesus.
Right.
We're 2 hours in and only just gotten really out of the initial ranking. So for you, okay, now.
Yes. I know, right?
Nerds.
Nerds. I have played all of the games. I've not played most
No,
of the
yeah, because we're
games.
gonna talk about the intro after we get out of the ranking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll get to it.
Yeah. We probably won't even start with the like intro video. I want to talk about classes first before we get into that. But
Oh boy.
I've played all of the games. I quite enjoy all of the games. I've played Demon's Souls, I think, the least because I've only finished the game once, and probably total hours is like less than 30 because it's a very short game. You can beat it in like 5 hours. It's very, very, very quick to consume. But the build diversity in it is pretty darn good. Um, Dark Souls 1 is probably the one I've put the second most amount of time into. It's definitely my favorite of all of the games. And I long for the exquisite level of crafting and care that was put into the first half of Dark Souls 1 because
Oh
I
yeah.
do not think they have hit that since then. Sekiro is totally well crafted and I think is like the other pillar of FromSoft design, but it does not hit in the same way that Dark Souls 1 did. That first half is just so good. And then Dark Souls 2 is shit, and I deeply dislike the game. I like some of the ideas it presents. The presentation is pretty cool in some cases, but mechanically it is just awful. I
I'm
ugh.
actually very interested in exactly, not maybe not specifics, but just like in general, why you think Dark Souls 2 is so utterly unrescuable.
The gameplay. It is fundamentally broken from the movement system to uh like the ways in which you get pickups for upgrading and for other stuff to how many souls they're given to ADP. Like
Ah,
it
yes.
is just it is broken. It is unpolished.
Unfollowed and reported.
That is, I accept this. I know that I have a hot take when it comes to Dark Souls 2. I know that I am entirely antagonistic towards the game, but like it I wouldn't be as down on it if it didn't ride the coattails of Dark Souls 1 so hard. I I don't know. The PvP community definitely likes Dark Souls 2 and for good reason. I think PvP is at its best in that game.
I have heard of quite a lot of people who do enjoy Dark Souls 2.
Yes, I've mostly talked to people who enjoy it. I've seen very rarely, other than like standouts like Mahler and the video series that he's made about Dark Souls 2. It's like,
In response to, yeah.
yeah, for the most part, I have only heard from people that like the game. I have only seen people that like the game, and I have never liked it. It is I've finished it maybe twice. I've played through with several different build types and never quite finished the game with those. I have beaten every single boss that it has one time solo, and it is just ugh,
You
ugh.
fought the fucking NPC squad gank solo?
Yes, I did.
Oh god.
Don't ever do it. It's not worth it.
I cannot
It's
imagine
not.
doing a bonfireless run of Dark Souls 2, because apparently there's a fucking ring you can get for that.
Yes, there is.
Uh,
There is.
okay.
It's not worth it.
Anyway,
Don't do it.
no.
Yeah. So Dark Souls 2 is very bad mechanically. Presentation wise, like Majula is gorgeous. Shrine of Amana looks amazing. But then you have stuff like Huntsman's Copse, and I don't like Iron Keep. Like the lava is way too bright, and it's just very. I think you could do something with it, and I'm sure that mods have done stuff with it, but it is just awful. It is the best for build variety. You're absolutely right about that, Cody. But it is like, ugh, ugh. And then just to give you the kick in the pants on the way out the door, Scholar of the First Sin has double credits that are unskippable. Why? Why do
Ah,
you
yes.
punish me?
Oh, right. I totally forgot. Holy shit, it does.
I've sat through 80 hours of this game. I massively applaud the people that worked hard to make the game. I'm never going to say that they didn't do their job, but why?
Double unskippable credits for the original game and for Scholar Person.
Yeah. Yeah, and the music for the credits isn't even like that great. It's nice, but it's not.
Obviously, I've never heard the Dark Souls 2 ending credit theme, so I'm sure it's.
It's just very generic. It's like okay. It's credit music, but it's like after doing everything that you do to get to that point, uh, it's the final kick in the pants on the way out the door. That's what it is. And then we have Dark Souls 3, which I like a lot. I think it is the most consistent in quality of all of the games. It does not hit as high of highs, nor does it have as low of lows as any of the other games. It is just consistently good to okay. And I have put at least. Let me see if I can pull up Steam, because it is several thousand hours into the game. Don't be like me. Don't do that. It is don't do that. I've
I think I
played
have something like
every
500 hours in Dark Souls 3 at this point.
that's far more acceptable than what I've done. Let's see.
Just
Dark
be
Souls
sure.
3 is almost 2000 hours. I've played through the game more times than I can count.
Yeah, 400 hours in Dark Souls 3.
I have
2,000 hours, help me.
yeah, I have done all of the major mods that exist for Dark Souls 3. I've played through them and sort of like written down my notes and feelings of like what's good and what's bad about them, what they can do better. It's like I've played that game basically to death. I know that game inside and out. I have an autistic level of information and detail encoded into the depths of my soul about that game.
Ooh, Elden Nerd.
Yeah, I like it a lot, but it is not the best. And I
It's
have
pretty. It's a good game to an okay game.
it is yeah, and I think other than um so I think the intro for Dark Souls 1 is the best intro into a Souls game. Like it gives you all of the information that you need. It sets you out on your pace. Yeah, I am. I I have a Steam review in it where I like lay out that I did when I had like 1,000 hours or something. And I like lay out that it's pretty good as a base, but it's not spectacular. Although if you're a fan of that base, you're gonna like the game, you know. Um, but the intro for Dark Souls 1 is the best tutorial. It sets you up in the best possible way. Dark Souls 3, if it had that, I think would be tremendously better. But otherwise, it is the game that I suggest people start with when they want to get into Souls games. It's like start with Dark Souls 3. This is the one that feels the best to play. And once I explain to you how the mechanics work so that you understand what you're looking at, you will be able to beat the game. I don't care what your level of skill is. You will be able to get through it. You just have to try. And I think that has value.
Yeah, I would say so. Dark Souls 3 has
Bloodborne.
great moments,
Go on.
especially in Dark Souls 3 has great moments, especially with certain bosses. But it's just
Yes.
on average a good game. it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that it is consistently good. It's consistently okay to good. And it even has some of the things, like some areas that I find to be the best designed in the entire series of games. Like Cathedral of the Deep and the dungeon that I can't remember the name of, Irithil Dungeon or whatever. Like those are some of
The
the tightest level design.
prison thing.
Yes.
Ah,
It is
there's.
it is so good. Those areas are so well designed. I just massive props to the team that made those. Those are so good.
Welcome back, Munchkins. We are
Welcome to the
currently 2
back.
hours in and have not played through the intro video yet.
Yeah, we haven't even started talking about Elden Ring properly yet.
Okay, anyway.
Yes, Bloodborne. I adore Bloodborne. It has a lot of problems, and it only has like 3 good bosses. Don't ask. But I really like Bloodborne. It's probably second least played because obviously you need to have the magic Sony box, and I
Tiny
don't have
box.
that.
Yeah,
Um,
I've only played it once.
I've done 4 builds, and probably have like a total capping out at like 100 hours. That's about it.
No, we're fine. It's just there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Just make sure we have a solid base of understanding.
Yes. You have to lay
Yeah,
out the
buddy.
basics. It's a process. Um, I like Bloodborne a lot. As I said, I need Bloodborne 2. I just like give me the game on PC, and I would even be happy with that because then modders can make Bloodborne 2 essentially out of that.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Or I
totally
think
good
it's
with
like
that.
a proper Bloodborne New Game Plus in a way.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
something.
all a bunch of variations on that to make the experience of Bloodborne 2 altogether.
Yeah. Just give it to me on PC, please.
How
Sekiro.
about with the ray tracing? Yeah, just do that.
Oh. Oh, yes. Sekiro, I have played a couple of times. I've only finished it once, and I like it a lot. I think it is one of the prettiest games. I think it is the game where they most consistently capture what they're going for, and they tell the story they want to tell, and it is a pinnacle of FromSoft design in many, many ways. But it has very little replay value to me. There's basically no build diversity, and so I have no need to return to it. I like the game a lot. I love watching people play the game. I think the combat system is like pinnacle, but I just don't feel the need to go back and replay it. And that's why I have 2,000 hours in Dark Souls 3.
It's a game that provides this experience and does it
Yes,
well.
it
You
does.
can replay it if you want to, and it's not out of. And it's not the experience isn't going to be worse. This is going to be, Sekiro again. Ta-da.
Yeah,
Mods are great for that in providing something different to encounter.
I should really look into the mods around Sekiro
You
at
got to
some
try
point.
Sekiro Resurrection. It's very good, especially if you're
When
looking for a challenge that still is very fair.
Yes, when the hyperfixation on Elden Ring has ended, maybe that will be what I do next.
Hey, I've
Um,
gotten Cody into Resurrection just recently, and from what I understand,
nice,
they like it quite a bit. Pretty good.
nice.
So yeah, that's Sekiro. Resurrection.
Resurrection. Um, yeah. So ratings for the games. The one I have highest rated is Dark Souls 1. Because of that first half, it gets an 8 out of 10. Absolutely. I think Sekiro probably gets a 7. Bloodborne probably gets like a 5 or 6. It has so much going for it, and yet it has so many problems.
The magic box.
Yeah. Magic box, the frame rate, the absolute spamming of small attacks and stun locking you. Uh, some bosses that are just like a slog to get to and fight and deal with. It's like, ugh. It has so many. It's got the highs and the lows. And then you have Dark Souls 3, which is super consistent and absolutely gets a 5 out of 10. I love and enjoy the game. And Dark Souls 2 can wallow at a 2 or 3 at best. Like, it's got great ideas it brings to the table. And some of those need to be brought back, like bonfire aesthetics.
Oh
That's
yeah, definitely for
such a
sure.
good
Bonfire.
mechanic.
Fuck yeah.
Why is this not done again? Why? It's so good. But, yeah, Dark Souls 2 as a whole is just a fundamentally broken game, and it can rot in the 2 to 3 quagmire.
I see. Okay. So that's all. I can see where you're coming from, and it definitely seems a more moderately reserved ranking about the specifics of your experience. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And I think that's interesting as a difference between the two of us, because certainly I've noticed that the way that we look at things is different because you are more about presentation and ideas and what is shown to you, and I am more about mechanics. Is I
I
want
do
the
appreciate a good mechanic, but presentation and like the imagery and the art of something that's being presented is very, very important to me. I would say, yeah.
yeah. I find that totally fair. It's like I that's not the way my brain works, and so I appreciate those things, but I don't value them as highly.
And that,
But
yeah, that's totally fine.
mechanics is like where something comes from. Like I find Sekiro very well made. It is super well crafted. Many of the bosses are so good. So good. I yeah, kind of. That's kind of it.
If there's good
Um
tunes to stab someone to, then do you really need much more in life
I
besides maybe a burger? I would say.
with how much I love the Bloodborne soundtrack, maybe not. Like I think that soundtrack makes up for like 3 of the points out of 6
You'll get
that
a
game gets
burger
from
as a
me.
reward for the stabbing.
Yeah. Yeah. Get
But
Borger.
yeah, I do agree. The soundtrack just in of itself heightens the game to a point that is kind of ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah.
Like they,
That game
a
is
game currently lives on for me through its music, considering I can't fucking play it.
yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Uh,
The music is top tier. But like the mechanics are what I find where the depth is and where the value of the thing is for me. And so as much as I think Sekiro is really well made and is super well crafted, I yeah, Automod, I'm okay with Coom. Coom is okay here. We're
Automod is a coward.
it is.
Yeah. If you're
Automod,
doing
you
Coom
don't need to be afraid of Coom.
during
Um,
Owl Secret boss fight thing, are you leaving alive? I'm just saying, it's very sick.
it is so good. I I didn't even find that until my second playthrough.
Not
It's
sure I
like
did either. I
I
can't
didn't.
remember when I found Owl Father.
Yeah, it's so good though.
Yep.
Um, but as good as that game is, I'm not going to return to it. It doesn't have the mechanical depth and build diversity that any of the other games do, and so I'm just not going to go back. I
It has
am
the
more than
depth, but
happy to
it's
watch
to
it.
its own
Yeah,
playthrough or
it
to its
the
own
mechanics
style.
it presents are super deep. Like it gives you, it is the best combat system that FromSoft has done. But that's because it excels at the one thing it does. You can definitely tackle fights differently. It provides you a lot of diversity in how you want to do things. But eh, I find it too limiting for what I typically enjoy, what I want a game to give to me when it's giving me the Souls-like experience, you know? And Sekiro isn't a Souls game, but I'm going to consider it as such for the case of this discussion. I deeply enjoy the game. I just am not going to go back to it like I will for Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring, which I've played through like 7 times now. It's like Sekiro is built better than probably all of those. But
it's just built differently.
it is just built differently. And I love watching people play it, but I'm not going to go back and play it again myself. Unless they do some DLC or something, then I'll do it.
I will fucking die if that happens.
Oh,
I will
man.
die on the spot. I will have a heart attack and I will die.
If they do that, I will definitely be wary about Elden Ring 2 if they decide to do that. Like, which I'm sure that they will because of how much money the game has made. But I am going to be very wary about buying the game. I will not get it on day one. Like,
my biggest hope, if anything, for what FromSoft learned from Elden Ring is the strengths of their Souls-like system and how it can be adapted.
yeah,
Like the scope, how the scope of an open world like this can in ways free the experiences you can provide, but also limit your ability to provide them.
yeah.
It's difficult. Yeah.
It's a hard balance to strike, and they bit off more than they could chew. I don't know if it was a time limiting thing, or if they just like came up with the scope arbitrarily, or if they were pushed to include more areas and do more stuff. I don't know. I don't know, but they made too big of a world for them to properly fill and balance it.
It's fucking Dark Souls 1 all over again. Ah.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, having the size and giving it more unique enemies, I would be okay with that. It would still be well worth, even if they didn't add more unique enemies. If they just have the size, it would be well worth the $60 that it is.
Like if you took out most of snowfields and mountaintops and just left a fire giant up there, like you just walk up a fire giant and that would be that area of the game, and everything else was just centered around like Altus and just in general that those first four major areas: Caelid, Liurnia, Limgrave, and Altus. I think the pacing of the game as it is now will be way better structured.
For sure. I think the back half of the game suffers a lot because of like you've been doing this for 80 hours now. I think my
I wish I knew, but I don't.
yeah, I have such problems with the placement of like Caelid enemies in the mountaintops of the giants.
Area Manor hands.
Yeah,
For
why?
sake.
They don't
Okay,
even.
but
Yeah, no, we'll get to that. That is probably
it's gonna
20
happen.
hours.
Don't you worry.
20 hours down the line in discussing. We'll get to that. But I think that puts us in a good position to start talking about
I think it do.
the Ring of the Elderly.
The Ring of the Elder Ring. We got our establishment here. We're the dragon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I wish I had an answer to that. I wish I had an answer to a lot of things in this game.
No, we don't.
No. So,
All we have is a way to attempt to fix them.
yes.
I consider the benefits of having them there. Okay, so we got the classes here.
Yeah. So, I want to talk about the classes. Because I think they're somewhat good, but like they all do kind of the same thing, and there's one that's clearly the best choice out of all of them, and that is Samurai, because it has bleed. Like, it does equal amount of damage, basically, if not more, than your every other choice, frankly, that you could have as a a weapon and it does bleed. Yeah, and it has a bow and a shield that you can parry with. Like it is it is just remarkably the best one and comparatively overpowered to every other class.
If you see anyone starting off a speed run, I'm almost sure that they will always pick either Wretch for some reason or Samurai.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people do Wretch for the meme, but Samurai is just the best class. And the others are like all okay, but they all basically do the same thing except for Astrologer, which is like, no, you have to use magic. We are pointing a gun at your head. Your only option is to use magic with our terrible FP system. That's it. That is all.
Speaking speaking for the meta though, the picking Wretch of any other class would just be for the meme or for your personal gameplay experience.
Yeah.
If we're talking about like legitimately the best option, it's always going to be Samurai.
Yeah. You have the starting weapon other than the knife with the fastest moveset. It does bleed. It does massive damage anyway. The Ash of War R2 is insane. Insane. It comes out so quick and does so much stamina damage. Like, if you start out with Samurai, you are on essentially easy mode for the game.
So we got a
And
problem here with like just generally like the equipment disparity. Each class generally plays the same. It's just like the amount of equipment in the set they get
yeah.
is the difference. So the question would be how much would we want to change classes? Would we want to make the starting class decision matter more than it does in any other game? Would we want to have specific classes have specific things that no other class can get? Would we want to just change up the equipment they get enough that all of them play differently?
So I wouldn't want to make any have an item that can't be acquired. And I know some mods do that, right? And even like some games that have classes that you can do that. I want all of them to be able to play differently, and if you have the option or you want to, you can make it play the same eventually. It's like, oh, I want to start out with the Confessor, which I do in this, and I want to go mainly doing physical damage, but I want to have healing as a side option. It's like you can do that, but I think you are missing out on a lot when you make them all play essentially the same and you just have one that's objectively the best because bleed. So I wouldn't want to. I'd want to make each class have something unique but not something that can't be found eventually by other stuff.
I see. Okay. So like in addition to their set, but it introduces a
Three
gameplay
classes.
difference.
They all suck.
So something that introduces a gameplay difference that other classes can also find later.
Yeah, like
I see.
the astrologer starts out with a short sword that for the range of the weapon has a very slow move set and does basically nothing damage wise. It's like you're not going to want to use that. You're going to want to have that as your backup and you're going to want to default to magic. That that is a really good way to start out. But the prophet has a spear which does pretty good damage and has excellent range. Like these are not the same, and so I think skewing the more magically inclined classes to start with offensive things and a weapon that does minimal damage is a good way to really encourage people to go on that build type for a little bit and then build into um, doing other stuff that they want to do with it.
I was
Like you
trying
can,
to you have to skip to like the beginning of that segment again.
yeah,
That'll work just fine. So since just basically for background footage anyway. For the
Yep.
mage classes in particular, I think with the addition of concentration, which at this point is basically a given, what we're going to be doing
Yes.
but
We.
for mage classes, and Code, you definitely know about concentration, considering you were the one who made the fucking idea. So,
Yeah.
co- concentration. If we're going to be adding that to mages, then I think it won't even be necessary to give mages necessarily a good weapon.
For sure. They won't need it because
Like
you won't necessarily need the backup. You'll just need to
we could focus
get
their
good at your
set
placement.
on like offensive magic, like weak offensive magic, but offensive magic nonetheless.
Yeah.
And a miracle class as well it could be doing this similarly.
Yeah. Like
And
you can
with just
have.
like maybe a talisman or some sort that you could acquire maybe late to mid game that would do something for your FP or similar. Like it would obviously be like a gift for mages to have, but it would be gotten mainly through the mage class unless you wanted to get there on another class way later into the game.
Yeah. And
I wonder
I
if we could
think
like set up like a heroic talisman system or something similarly named where each class would get a variation of the heroic talisman that would change up the gameplay just enough, but they would be like the major talismans that you could find throughout the world later into the playthrough. Like you wouldn't be able to get into the first half of the game using them.
maybe,
Who
maybe,
knows?
maybe. Something to consider. But yeah, I think the classes have the problem of having one that's just objectively the best to start with.
Yeah,
And the only other, I guess, top tier one would be start as the Vagabond, because then you can take the most damage without dying, but you fat roll. And you can alleviate that pretty quickly by just getting rid of the helmet. It's like, I want to see the face that, I spent time on in the character creator. Um, Side note,
Bastion Souls is a better choice.
Yes. I think the character creator is good.
Yeah,
It's definitely an improvement from Dark Souls 3. I wish we could add glasses, because, like, the style of that from Bloodborne was amazing.
oh, it was.
But
And
I'm
then
sure that will
Dumbledore's
happen
character
eventually.
from like my first run through with just like the biggest fucking nose and chin. It was
Yes.
amazing, hilarious. And with the glasses, it just sold it perfectly.
Yes. And I can almost guarantee you someone has made handsome Squidward with this character creator. And all of the Chad characters that people have made are spectacular. It's
Indeed.
like it does the job and it gives you more options than the old one did, and I like that. It's good. I don't tend to engage it very deeply. It's like I kind of put the tattoo
Hair
slash mark
tattoo, just
thing.
maybe change the skin color a little bit or
Yeah,
hair color. Yeah, that'll work.
yeah, that's about it. And I smash similar face until it looks mildly like an alien. Generally, I didn't do that for what I'm showing, but that's generally what I do. Um, and that's about it. It's like, yeah, I'm happy with that. It
That'll
gives
work.
me someone fitting of the name Flumpus, whatever I went with.
Lumpus Doompus, I think. So yeah, I think just for the classes, it's since we're not going to be
Flumpaloombus.
doing anything like giving them specific things that no other class can get. I think it would just be like varying the style of sets or equipment they're given, especially with the weapon reworks we're planning.
Yeah,
So each class could play differently and also be given a talisman or something that allows them to play more to their strengths.
yeah.
And there's not much more that needs to be done with that, I think. So we can probably keep going with that for now.
Yes. So let's talk about the opening. I would imagine you have probably more to say on it than I do, so I will let you start and give me your thoughts.
The storybook opening here, I like the way it's styled. I really like the art that they're actually using here.
Yes.
and like the idea of being led through an old book detailing the lore of this land and how well it gives you an overview of the story, the major players, the events that are going on to lead to where you are now. What I don't like is that all in all, it's basically just a PowerPoint presentation with that same quality of transitions and effects. Like
Yeah.
the art itself may be great. The narration sells it the most, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the quality of the art and the narration is really what sells this opening, and not necessarily the content or even the way it's presented. Because yeah, I've made presentations that I've given with better, cuts between slides and stuff. That's stuff is very descriptive, but
Yeah.
I've given better presentations than this. This is a PowerPoint presentation at best.
Like, because of course, I'm sure you guys have seen storybook intros that actually they had they were dynamic. They had characters moving around, dust sprinkled in between layers, and just in general, like a sort of pop up presentation that the camera rolled around and had things going on to give the story. Witcher 3 being a good example, yes, I would say so.
Yes.
And or even more like crazy ones, which I don't think we would be able to do with something like this. But honestly, I wonder if through like clever photoshopping of these intro slides and manipulation of them, something like After Effects.
Maybe. I don't know. I I I kind of consider this a loss. I don't know that we'll be able to do much with it. Um, and I think it's fine as an intro thing, but when you compare it to like the video of Dark Souls 1's opening or
The
even Dark
fucking
Souls
trailer
3,
for this game.
yeah, why didn't they use the trailer?
I'm
Like,
sure that there was something about it that maybe they didn't like. Maybe they didn't like how it introduced the game itself or the characters, but I don't know why they didn't use it. What the fuck?
yeah, it's just not present in the game at all, which is weird because they do like video bits. The intro for Radahn's boss fight is basically made the same way as the trailer was. Why not just add it in, even in the options menu? Just let me
If
watch
there
it
was
in game.
if there was a point in development on this project, I suppose, where we got into like more minor things like the intro or something where it was available to us, and maybe there was enough interest that we could hire someone or someone could like uh, have an edit of this done just to help with the project. I think that would be great,
Yeah,
especially if we could just like get that spice on the storybook intro because I do
yeah,
like the idea. I love the art, but the way it presents the art is not good. I don't really like it.
it's lacking, and
Yeah.
I find the content of it lacking as well. Let me just flip back into it.
Something weird
There we
going
go.
on in the recording, like some frame drop kind of thing.
Yeah, it was
Is that
being
just like part of
weird,
the recording that
unfortunately.
happened? Rip.
Um, but I find the content of this, like the one interesting thing that I find is that transition that just happened from America to either Godwin or Radigan.
Hmm.
I'm not sure which one it's supposed to be because, like, in the trailer, we're presented with Godwin as being the person using the hammer. But
Like I love some just to sorry to interrupting you for a sec. Like I love something like a motion effect being applied to the ocean here to imply waves crashing against the shore or
yes,
something like that. Just like more being done with the art technically that actually gives it a sense of being alive, you know?
yeah,
But really, like the transitions and shit, they kind of get worse as it goes along.
It does a bit, and it's unfortunate. I was uh I was really expecting quite a bit more from this opening than we got. And it doesn't really tell you much of anything about the game or what you'll be doing. You only kind of figure out the importance of it when you look back later after you know more.
I like it actually mentions Horalu by name here,
It does.
but I completely forgot about that by the time you actually get to the fight.
I didn't forget about it because Horlu is mentioned here, and I think like once or twice elsewhere in the game, and then Nephili Lu is a prominent NPC that you come across. So
I never
I have to
found
sneeze.
Nephili actually, which which partly why.
Um, yeah, a lot of people forgot that Horlu was like a thing, which I don't blame them for certainly. But when he like, I I was surprised and like, whoa, Godfrey is Horlu. Like, that's dope. I found that really interesting. But that's kind of like the only bit of information. I don't know. It's not well done. I don't have great ways of describing how it's not super well done. It just feels like I don't understand the world that I'm going into when in previous games I have.
It's also weird that they mention like a lot of tarnished here by name
Yeah.
as like important figures, although the characters like Gold Mask, I suppose mainly Gold Mask, they don't really have a lot to do with the grand scheme of the game in general. There's endings you can get with them, but they're very small variations.
Yeah. It's I don't know. Not as great of an opening as I was hoping for. And this segment right here where you see your character sort of waking up after they've been infused with grace. It feels very Demon Souls to me.
Yeah, that shot specifically of the hand is being twitching and then getting up is something that I think happens quite a lot once it swaps to the in-game version of the cutscene in these
Yeah.
games. Like I definitely recognize the imagery. It's like, oh shit, this is a FromSoft game. When are
Yep.
we gonna get to the door that can't be opened from this side?
Relatively quickly.
But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the intro. It okay. It does what it wants, and unfortunately, is not presented in a way that I think has it stick out over the narration.
Yeah.
Like everyone remembers the way he calls out the names and shit, but no one actually remembers much of the art itself. Like the
No.
fact that you can see Morgott literally kicking Radahn's ass and pummeling him to the ground is remembered by few people.
Yeah. I just like I didn't even remember it until I went through this morning to record this footage. And then I saw that and I was like, "Whoa, that's neat. I've never seen that before." But I have because I've watched that intro so many freaking times. Yeah, I just like they could have done more.
Yeah.
They could
I
have
think it
done
would be
more.
very wonderfully spiced up if like someone good with After Effects or like a good wizard with Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve, any decent video editing software knew what they were doing, they could probably do something really good with that intro and its assets.
I would hope. I'm sure that that talent exists.
Okay, so yeah, here with first boss in this introduction, I can see that you're using the deflection mechanics in Reforged here.
Yeah, I'm trying to. This guy has weird timings on some of his hits.
I still have not actually beaten this guy, which is
I
which is
think I've
weird.
done it once.
He
It's
is
not worth it.
certainly a handyman.
He is. He is indeed a handyman.
He's a
I
handful. I keep him at arm's length.
I give him a hand about that, you know?
Do you know what I've gone through to make that joke?
It cost you an arm and a leg, I'd imagine.
I say.
I mean, there's a whole body of jokes you could have reached for, but you went for that one, so it's like, I don't know.
The fact that you kept going with that actually, I've been out fun. My brain can't comprehend it properly.
I
That
was
you win.
I was raised doing pun competitions.
I would
It's
usually
like,
be able to, but like my brain being so ingrained in from stuff right now it makes it difficult.
yes, understandable.
Is the I
I
am
am.
I'm who is you are?
I assume
Yeah, considering you
I'm
beat me in the pun competition. Holy
I'm
shit! Now we get to the two most. Oh God, what's the two most shafted characters in the game?
yeah. Can you even call
Melina
them
and Torrent.
characters?
Fuck's sake.
I also like how Melena's ring disappears after this. But I guess that is the spectral steed ring,
The
so that's an
whistle, yeah.
interesting detail.
She just takes it off and puts it in her pocket.
Yeah.
She actually just kneels down in this water. Can you imagine how like weirdly
Uh,
uncomfortable that would probably be?
it would.
Like, my clothes soaking now.
Yes. So one bit in this thing right here, even if it does violate the Golden Order, I
Oh,
find that
yep.
very interesting. That is a
Yeah.
hint from the start of the game that you as a Tarnished are not supposed to make it to the Elden Ring.
That's actually a very good hint. That's one of the hints I really like.
Yeah, and I
And
wanted
about the
more of
story
that from
presentation,
the intro.
but it doesn't really do that.
It doesn't.
Like, that's the stuff that actually does kind of lead you to believe that there's some propaganda and lines going on in the story, but it throws that at you and then kind of yawns and says whatever for the rest of the game.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's very ho hum.
The one of the only other iterations I can think of is that Chaos takes the world guy. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can do that in a 10-hour game, but not in a 100-hour game.
Yeah.
You can do that in a game like Dark Souls 1, but you can't do that in a game like Elden Ring.
Very interesting. I just noticed looking at this footage, there's a message on the ground there, but
Yeah,
this is offline. So that is a message left by the developers to say, hey, go down the hole.
there's also apparently a tutorial message here that pops up to tell you, hey, fucker, jump down
Yeah.
the hole, go die, or some shit.
Yep. So, how do
They
you
added that in
feel
later.
about the tutorial?
Just in general,
Yeah.
for like learning the basic mechanics of the game, it's kind of handholdy in a way. Like these first few things, like, oh, use the left stick to move around. But there's other stuff that's actually good. Like, use this to lock on, backstabs exist, all this kind of thing. Which is
Yeah.
like basic mechanics that you definitely want to know getting into it. Because I do not want to imagine the hassle of explaining a fucking backstab to a newcomer to Dark Souls.
Oh, yeah. Um,
Like, this is just like the basics of a tutorial. Like getting into this is how you move. This is the actions your character can do. Guess what? You can fucking jump.
yeah. And I'm so like I said, Dark Souls 1 has the best tutorial of the Souls games. And I think that's because right from the start, it doesn't assume that you know anything. I definitely agree that
Yeah.
this doesn't tell you anything that the outside world wouldn't tell you. Um, but Dark
This
Souls,
only really gives you names for things that you might not have known, or stuff like maybe that jumping attacks are better at breaking guard.
yeah, and guard counters. Those
Oh
are
yeah,
like
but like
that's
the
about it.
stuff like robustness or anything like that, this tutorial does not teach you. And
Uh-uh.
like stuff like you would really want to understand about the game, it's
Yeah.
hard. It's not really encompassed by this.
Nope.
It's really just an area for the player to hit R1.
Yeah. And for me, at this point, it's just, oh, I can get 700 extra souls as I go through.
Yeah.
It's like this will allow me to
There's not
buy the
even an
crafting
item
kit.
really to find here.
No, there's it is very little, and you get a pop up here telling you, oh, crouch. I don't have the pop ups on. Probably should have for the purpose of demonstration, but
Yunk.
I find this tutorial hampered by the fact that you have to go die to a boss first before it gives you this. And for somebody who is entering this game literally with no idea, has never played a Souls game before, has never, like, maybe even played very many games, that's a mistake. And I think that the way that Dark Souls 1 does it is much better. You can entirely skip the tutorial. The tutorial doesn't even feel like a tutorial. It's just, oh, I'm at the start of the game now.
And it means this for 1 month. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, so they had to add that in because
Yeah.
they have a whole bunch of normies playing these games now. And
They got the normies.
yeah, and like you're going to get that with every game as the like studio gets more and more awareness and stuff. Like you're going to get that, and that's what they want. But then why would you put the tutorial behind dying?
Yeah. Why would a beginner just jump down a cliff?
Yeah,
Holy shit! It's the hardest boss in the game.
it is. And he
How,
gives
how are
me the
you?
run
You
around
already
too.
got a hit on him? Oh no, but you got the first phase combo. I'm not gonna do the Soldier of God Rick memes here. That is too much.
Yeah. But I
Bonk.
like this tutorial just fine. I just think that it's hampered by the fact that it is behind like your first starting of the game. You are in a church and you have to like move around and do stuff, and you may not even know any of that. It gives you a prompt, which is good for, hey, you go towards glowy thing, you push this button, you pick it up. That's great. That is like a tutorial. But then it doesn't give you anything else about the controls until after you die. And you have to jump down into a hole, which new players who've just died are not going to be inclined to do. It's just,
It's the, it's just a tutorial for the basics. That's all it
yeah,
really does.
but it doesn't
Which
even,
is fine, but it doesn't also in tandem offer a way to learn the deeper mechanics of the game naturally
it does
without doing
not.
the same thing every other game has.
Yeah.
So at the end
And
of the day, it just becomes like a net neutral.
yeah, I'm inclined, honestly, to find a way for us to skip this. And so that when you start up a new file or a new character, you just start up here.
in
And
in this area.
yeah, and have it be an option to go to the Chapel of Anticipation eventually. Like, we can find a way to do that, but like, it's very stupid to me that you start at the Chapel of Anticipation. Like, why? Why? Doesn't make sense to me.
I just assume that might be so that like you can actually come back to this area right at the start of the game instead of like it like you being teleported away from like dying to the main boss or that first boss. Or, I don't know. Like I would prefer like for the mod run especially to just start you there. Yeah, there's the fire giant area. Most people didn't even think about going back. Yeah.
True.
I mean, there's the hero's grave there, but
The only reason
the
I ever
hero's
think
grave.
about going back is because you can get the Storm King there. It's
Yeah.
like, I plan to go there because I want to do Nephili's quest line, but the Great Shield you get is good for early game, but after that, it's like not that good.
Something I didn't notice my first run here is that you can see the fire giants
Yes, I just
thing.
noticed that as
Yeah.
well when I was recording this. Was like, I can see all the way to the Fire Giant kiln. I can see the Beast Chapel all the way in Dragon Barrow. Like, that is excellent. And you can even see the Chapel of Anticipation.
It's the no maidens guy. He's gonna tell you that you got no maidens. Yeah, just right there.
No, bitches. Yeah,
Yay, we're maidenless.
they
Okay.
do a lot in this game to let you see, which is good, and they do it in all of the games. But it's like, I'm gonna show you places that you're gonna go, and you're not even gonna realize it.
Yeah.
Love that.
That, and then they also actually show you in the same imagery, like the place that you're gonna go, just shortly. Yeah,
It did.
art direction and world direction, like implicit world direction. Like it gives you something that you see, you can go to, and you can go there. You can figure
Yeah.
out a way to get there eventually or directly,
It
and that's
it
really
gives
good.
you points of interest that you're gonna want to go to really, really well. Like minor Erd trees are big and they're colorful and they're pretty, and you think that they're related to the Erd tree. And so you're like, I want to go there. I want to see what's there. And that will lead you to stuff. The
Yep.
towers, that will lead you
Yeah,
to stuff.
that huge
Yeah,
scale. Uh-huh. But no, you actually get there, and that's like a huge major area later in the game. The fact that it's like near the Erd tree from this perspective also helps its story significance
yeah,
in a way, but you don't even realize that. And I consider that part that you're not really getting that information a bit of a downside.
right?
Hmm.
And
Like
you
I
can see.
appreciate that you don't know what that is now, but I wish you could understand the significance before it happened.
I
Yeah,
feel like I'm okay with not understanding it. Like you can only even tell what it is right now because you've seen it before up close.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm
Like,
totally fine with that.
let me reiterate that I'm okay with not knowing what it is or what's even that in the distance right now at the start of the game from a new player perspective. What I find less agreeable is that you still don't know what that does or why you wanted to do it when you have it there in the distance for the mountaintops. You're like, oh, we got to burn the tree, blah, 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 the heretical act. What's going on?
Yeah, that's true. The game does not, story
But
wise, it doesn't give you a
that's an
reason.
average thing with the story is that you don't really know why you're killing Malekith. You don't know why you're lighting the kiln. You don't know why you're doing these things, and I feel like it would be a lot stronger of a story if you did.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
And
part of Reforged is that it actually it shows you the amount.
yes,
Yes,
which is lovely.
it is.
It is either we're gonna do that or we're gonna like find a way to make that more obvious to the player. Maybe just
Reforged
in the
also
text
does
thing.
something else interesting, which you'll see a lot in the footage of a perfect deflection or a
Yeah.
perfect block, I should say.
Or when I'm hitting stuff, you'll see blue sparkles around me. That's me getting back FP for every hit. That's the
Ah,
thing
yeah,
that they do. I kind of like that idea, but I don't think that plays well with the concentration mechanic that we're gonna do. So
that's true. So the
we'll.
perfect block thing is very much like the deflection from Scaro just applied to block here, where if you get a few frame perfect block, then you don't take stamina or any damage at all, no matter what the block negation is of the weapon you're using.
I mean, I wouldn't say that you'll know once you use it once. I still don't know the amount of souls you get from half of the soul items in any of the Souls games. Like, I don't know how much I get when I pop stuff. I just kind of guess. And that's kind of a failing on. Well, yeah.
Right? Yeah, yeah. Like
Well,
just having like the amount of rooms it gives you in the title of the item is good. I think that's fine.
you have
It's
a point that newbies won't necessarily get into this as the first experience of this game, but I do have friends that I'm going to force to play through modded stuff because they are relatively new to the game, and they probably won't play through, let alone fully finish base game by themselves. They just won't, and I don't blame them. Like I have told everybody, stop after Morgoth. Like you do not want to put in the effort that it takes to get good enough to do the rest of the game, nor will
but
it be
the Dragon
rewarding
Lord.
to you.
No, they will never experience the might of the Dragon Lord. No,
I you know
before Morgoth.
I love the Morgoth fight, man. It's so good, and I think it is a very fitting way to end,
Yeah, yeah,
especially
it is.
for a casual player. It's like I've made it this far. I'm starting the back half of the game. Even if you don't know that, like it is a major accomplishment to do that.
I
It's
and it
like
is
playing
especially
through Dark Souls 3 without doing the DLCs. You know, if you beat Soul
Something
of
I
Cinder, even
fuck.
if you haven't fought Gale, you've beaten the game.
Yeah. So something I do like about Morgoth fight, and this is like kind of weird, but if you fight Morgoth first before you get to Stormvale, once you get back to Stormvale, Margit won't be there. And
I
that's of
did
course very
not
late into
know
the game,
that.
but I like that you can like circumvent earlier things by doing later things first.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And I like that it makes actual sense. And I don't know, I don't think that applies if you kill Mog first before uh the Omen one in Subterranean Shining Grounds, but I don't whatever.
Yeah, because there would be Loretta and Moog would be the only ones you could test that with, because
Yes.
gold free is required.
Yeah. Gold free, he's a golden free. Hey, yo, Melina. It's
Yep.
melatonin. It's gonna give us the power of the Amazon gift card.
Hey yo, melatonin.
I do want to
I.
talk about Melina though, with this cutscene. And
Oh yeah, that
after
is
that, we'll get into Torrent, I think, before branching out to generally the start of the game. Since I think this would be a
yes.
good time to pause with all the stuff that we've had
Yeah.
and looked over. So Melina is an interesting character. She's an interesting character in the lore, but she's interesting in the scope of the game because they do nothing with her at all.
Yeah.
Or to be more precise, they do two things with her, and one of those things is dying.
True. And it doesn't even mean that much to, at least it personally didn't for me,
It
because
didn't for
like
me
you don't get
either.
to
I was like,
interact with her
oh
hardly at all.
no. You you get very specific special dialogue options with her at Churches in America. That's pretty much it, which are very easily missable. Holy shit. You could
Yeah.
technically even miss going to the round table hold for a long time.
Yeah. Which I did my first playthrough. I I didn't know necessarily what I was getting into, but I knew that from watching videos that you had to get to certain graces in order to get her to show up. So I was
Mhm.
like, I'm gonna test how far I can push that. And so from the start, I activated the first step grace, and then I walked backwards, and I went around behind the hero's grave you just came out of, and I went down and ran into Agil and did a whole bunch of stuff that way for like 6 hours before I finally came back. So I did a whole bunch of stuff. I made it to Caelid before I even went to Gatefront.
And actually found that she transported you to fucking round table. That's probably the reason why they have that smithing anvil there over in Church of Ella.
Oh yeah.
You can actually upgrade your weapons because you would miss going to round table hold.
Yes. Which is an interesting sort of thing. So whenever I play through the game, I start out, get Melina, and then relatively quickly I will activate Roundtable Hold by taking the warp over to the Beastman temple thing where
But
clergyman bro
what the
is.
fuck?
Oh dear.
Okay, so let's go like back to the end frame pretty much of that last video and just pause there, I suppose.
Yeah. Let me pull up my listy dude.
In the meantime, I'll just like share my thoughts on like Melina in general.
Yes.
Melina, oh my god,
Melanoma.
Melanoma is not a well presented character. She obviously has a lot of stuff going for her in the lore and technically in her character as well. But this none of this is ever presented to the player in a reasonable way, other than like pretty much the required scenes of meeting her and her dying,
Yeah.
which is not good. Not good. There's never any chance for the character to establish any kind of emotional connection, and she pretty much fucks off for most of the game.
Yep.
So yeah, let's just pause here when we look back at
Yep.
yeah. So there's a few things I think we should probably do or probably consider doing. One, I would definitely want Melina to reappear when you rest down in a site of grace
Yes.
and just like sit down and just I don't know, just sit there doing things. Who
Yeah. Or
knows?
even like if I guess if it takes time, we can skip the animation of her sitting down and just like when it fades into you resting at the side of grace, just have her sitting next to you.
Oh yeah.
It's like I just have her there so that the player character feels her presence through the whole game.
It also it also of course gives you the uh gameplay benefit of a player being uh player what the fuck inclined to sit at a grace if just
Yes.
for like a moment of rest with Melina because of course it works I'm sure.
It does. It absolutely does.
So um but like besides that I think that would be like bare bones just allowing more time to be had before key story moments. And
Yes.
other than that, I'm trying to consider what else could be done. I'm unsure how much cut content she has.
She has quite a bit, and maybe we can see about restoring it. But one thing I think we can primarily do is on the sites of grace where you have the option to talk to her is force that option to appear at the top of the list, and so players will notice that.
Top of the list. Yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that,
Because
especially
currently it
since
shows up at the bottom, and so I have missed so many opportunities for dialogue with her because it's at the
you're only
bottom of
looking
the
at the top
list.
of the list. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like looking at level up or flasks.
and then you're out of there.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I'm doing. And maybe memorize spells, like maybe. But that only happens every once in a while when you've got a new one. It's like if it populates at the top of the list, players will notice the change and they'll be like, oh, I have the option to do this thing. I just recently, I think it was like 2 nights ago or something, I just recently discovered that Melina tries to convince you not to go through the Frenzied Flame ending if you rest at the Sites of Grace on the way there. Like, as soon as you are headed towards that, she will start to say, hey, don't do this because this will put the world into chaos and it will stop, like, the good parts of life that exist in this world for people. Like, yeah, the world is kind of broken right now, but there's good things that happen too. And
And that would be a cool emotional moment if the game actually presented this to you. This could happen.
right. And apparently, like, if you do the frenzied flame thing, she'll leave you and then she'll show up later to try to fight you because she gave you the ability to level up and to become strong, and that led you to doing that, and so she feels responsible for doing it. Like, that would hit so much harder if you actually knew her at all and if you listened to her dialogue and whatever. And I don't find her dialogue in like the Churches of America that interesting,
Yeah, yeah. So she's
but
basically just repeating what Marika said once.
yeah. um but like the fact that she can do that is kind of interesting, and
Yeah.
maybe players would be more inclined to listen to those if mechanically the option pops up at the top of the list when you're sitting down. Like,
Mm.
there's so much more that can be done with her, I think, and having her show up as a summon for some battles that are heavily story relevant or that her character would be inclined to do. The interaction that she has that was cut with your character when you take in the mimic tier in the cut thing is really
Oh, yeah.
great. It's like hello to the other you that exists now. I'm
Her
going to
being
be
able to just
traveling with you
like
for a while.
comment on more things that are relevant to the player, like
Yeah.
bosses they defeat or like characters they see, would be great. I
Yeah.
don't know how much of that there is. There's probably not that much at all, but like that combined with her being able to like be at races with the player would be very nice.
Yeah.
But I
It
don't
would
know,
add.
Code. What do you think if you had the opportunity to like mess around with what with Melina, what Melina currently has, and how she can have an effect on the player, what would you do?
Assuming that they're still here.
Assuming, of course.
We have been going for like 3 hours.
They might be dead.
They might be. Um, yeah, I don't know. There's stuff that can be done with her, I think, and so I really want to try because I want it to mean something when she essentially sacrifices herself to burn down the Erd Tree.
Hmm.
And it would be interesting to leave more tidbits as to like why she does that, because she's the daughter of America. She was created by her for the purpose of burning down the Erd Tree. That's really interesting.
Oh, you're back? We've been talking about Melina for like, I don't know, 10 minutes.
What'd you think about that melanoma?
Yeah, we were flaming Melina already. Not Melania, Melina. You know, Melina.
Melana.
Melina. Not Melania.
Yeah,
Not
we won't get
nearly
to
there
Melania
yet.
for a long time.
Melina can get lost.
Oh, see, that's like I feel like so many people feel that way,
I
and you
could
have
not.
this.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't disparage her absolute hatred of the character, considering nothing has happened. So let's go through what we just said and the points we just made. I'll go first for that. So yeah, only really story relevant moments Melina has are two. This one where she first meets Claire, and the next one where she fucking dies.
I I guess I won't blame you for hating Nephili. I like her.
I'm not sure how much of Nephili's quest that you managed to do, because I know she does fucking something, I swear. But I
She
just can't remember
does.
what it is.
She becomes the next ruler of Limgrave and offers her fealty to you as the Elden Lord. She did just sulk in the basement for like months, basically. I don't know what the flag is to make her leave. I
It
haven't
must
figured
be
it out.
something with Kenneth Height, I think. That guy that you can see in Limgrave.
Well, you can have his quest line to the point where he should be going to do that, and he just doesn't. I
Oh,
only
fuck.
got it to progress forward in the most recent playthrough. Um, I beat
Whenever
Morgott, and then I did one boss after that, who I can't remember, and then it happened.
I know it's got to be something to do with Kenneth Height, considering his whole thing is like the next ruler of Limgrave.
Yeah, you have to progress his quest line in order to get her to move. After you give her the Storm King, you have to give her the Storm King, and you have to have his quest line.
The log of like the dialogue that
Yeah,
happens between characters.
that is.
That with the like the NPC markers they have in the game already would do wonders, I think, to make the expansive world and the quests as they are feel a lot more connected.
Yeah. Um,
Because at the moment you really have no way of like acutely remembering what each character said unless you write it down as they say it or look it up on a wiki. Neither of which are particularly fun.
I did. First playthrough was totally blind. Other than knowing that I had to get Melina at certain graces. Yeah.
Because I really think these games can be a wonderful experience if you're able to play them blind, but the commonly accepted answer is that, well, you're just gonna have to look up on the wiki for some shit if you want it to be done.
Right? If you want to understand what the stats mean, you have to either ask someone who knows or look it up. And that is a shame. It definitely loses a lot on following playthroughs, which is something complicated that I hope we can eventually address with the modding project.
I think so. But yes, just for Melon in particular, because like, there's a character that I definitely want to. I hope we can get right.
Yes.
The ideas that we've pulled up in that we think might help the emotional impact of her fucking dying later in the game is one, she appears at every grace that you rest at. She she's just sitting down there checking out the world or something. And two, whenever you have the ability to talk with her at a grace, it is then made at the top of the list of options. And I think three, her being available to be summoned for more encounters and more dialogue that was cut, and her commenting on specific things to be restored.
Yeah, if we can do that, that would be great. Or even like I suppose we can decide between if we want her to be able to be summoned or if we want to do like an Ash thing.
Yeah, exactly. Cut. I
Yeah.
okay. Well, that's the question because I think there's benefits and drawbacks to each. Like I would like her being able to like explore the world with you as like a pocketable ash, like one of those maybe those consistent ones that can be some nearly everywhere
Yeah.
would be, I think, very nice.
I think it would add a lot to the player's feelings for her as a character. In the same way that like I find Latenna a very interesting character, even though she gets basically nothing. But I find her interesting because I can,
Some You can summon
bring
her,
her with
yeah,
me.
and she can fight alongside you. And she also has like dialogue and stuff that she has in the open world.
Yeah. Yeah. If when we figure out how to add dialogue that won't be voiced, we can potentially add in bits of that for her. That would be interesting.
God, what was I thinking about? I think like at the bare minimum, just allowing her to be at Grace's when you rest there, and also for leveling up, would do so much for like how you feel about her by endgame, and especially being summoned if possible to like balance out properly. Because
Yeah.
we already know how many people have a soft spot for the mimic tier for obvious reasons. For one, that's literally fucking you,
Yep.
not fucking you, but it's just you. It's the player. But like a constant travel companion like that is like hugely endearing, especially in an open world. People have a soft spot for Torrent. They're upset that Torrent isn't used anywhere major, for instance, in the final boss.
Yeah. And like
Minor
he's
minor
referenced as a
spoilers.
character by several other characters. Like Melina and
Ronnie.
Ronnie treat him as a thinking being. He has thoughts, he has feelings, he communicates those.
And like peg and like has you as a hero. Like he convinces Melina apparently of this.
Yeah. And so
He
you have
neighs
a good
very
point,
aggressively.
Code, that she should be helping you to get to the Erd Tree. But I
Hmm.
think it would be interesting to have like the help that she gives you kind of be limited until she trusts you and you have that dialogue of, Torrent had your measure from the start.
Ooh, that's pretty
Um,
sick.
I was just testing you. I apologize. Let me take you to the round table hold. Like having her help you more after that, that would be great.
I do like that
Um,
idea, honestly,
so that
especially if it was maybe maybe if it was moved to Margaret, or maybe if it was moved from Margaret to Godric, and she was just available as a summon partner for Margaret.
maybe that would be interesting. We'll
Who
play
knows?
around with ideas about that certainly, but base
I think
thing
it.
we're hitting at here is she sucks in base game.
Yeah, she and I think at the very minimum she's going to appear at Grace's when you sit down
Yeah, absolutely.
for leveling up. Like at the very minimum, I think that would already do enough if just for exposure. Because
Yeah,
imagine sitting down the first Grace in Farah Missoula and she's not fucking there.
yeah.
Oh, great, we're alone.
That it would hit so much harder, especially so like imagine right. Um, the moments I think people really like Ronnie for the moments that you get to talk to her when she's a doll and you're sitting at Grace's and you have the option to talk to her and she like talks about her life and her perspective on the world and why she's doing what she's doing and that she really appreciates that you're helping her and the people that have helped her. Like Melina has 2 moments of this. 2. That's it.
Yeah.
Why?
Not only that, but you can actually talk to her in like a world scenario. Like you can actually go see where she is. She has her own thing she's doing, but she's
Yeah.
not like completely disappeared from the game.
Yeah. Yeah, until you mostly finish her quest line, and then she just like is gone as far as you know until you beat
Yeah. And
Estelle.
that's actually much more emotionally affecting because, like, holy shit, she gone. What's she doing? You don't
Yep.
know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Um, yeah. So Melina needs help, and at the very least, she's gonna sit at the graces with the player. She'll do the level up spiel. It only takes like half a second more. I don't think people are going to be that annoyed about it. You can skip her dialogue and have it in the background. Like, we're not talking Dark Souls 2, have to listen to the whole spiel before you can get to the level up screen.
Bear seek lust.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so I absolutely, that is one of the top priority things for this project is like having her show up at Graces. That is one of the first things that I want to figure out how to do.
Yeah. And if possible, if we can make it work, re-implementing like cut dialogue, referring to events in the game, and allowing her to be made available as like a help partner, get,
Yeah,
get you through the game, because
for
that is
sure.
always very nice. Yeah, unbear seek lust.
Yeah.
We gotta unbear those woods. So next, let's talk about Torrent. Torrent, that magical, lovely boy.
Ah, my boy. I love and hate Torrent.
Torrent is a very interesting addition. Very, very interesting addition. And I've talked with you about this before, but there's a lot of words to be had as Torrent kind of hits at a lot of facets of the game, both mechanically, combat, how you interact with the world in general. I do think his integration is overall a positive one.
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I think he, like, kind of destroys some of the encounter design, which is the thing that we've talked about pretty
yeah,
extensively, because he just lets you run past. But that is not a bad thing to have as an option for players who want an easy mode. It's like if you just want to do the story bosses and you don't want to engage with any of those encounters, like Torrent is a heavily useful tool for that. I think it's just a shame that you can go 100 hours through the game without realizing you can heal him, and the row of fruit, row of berries, whatever, like heals the most piddly amount of his health bar possible,
yeah.
and that he becomes useless in any engagement where some random hollow is carrying a torch.
They got buffed. Oh, nice.
Did
How
they?
much though?
Oh man, I'm so glad. But I stopped engaging with them at all. Like, I just accepted he's gonna die and I'm gonna use a flask to resurrect him.
Yeah,
Which is
I,
like
I
a really low cost to resurrect him, honestly.
oof. So let's think about this.
He does it
So
really slowly.
for one, I do think it's annoying to get knocked off of Torrent by design, obviously, because that's like a thing that you want to avoid. Duh.
Yeah, and
In the same way that death is annoying, it's something you want to avoid.
it is appropriately punishing.
Hmm. However, there's some things I really don't like. Like the fact that a torch hollow can just stagger you into non-existence. Make
Yeah.
every attack once on you. Torrent. Ah!
No.
But
Please
okay, so
no.
I think a few things. He can very easily just run past the area of effectiveness of an enemy that could really give you trouble on horse or on foot,
Yeah.
but you can pretty much just run past them. The second thing is that he has a lot of HP in the early game, but has piddling HP in the late game. You can't really
Absolutely.
stand up to anything that swings with a chunk in the late game, but
Yeah,
he can
Fire
just
Giant two
tank for
shots him.
days. Take away his immunity from Poison Swamp. Oh boy.
I don't know if I want to do that. I kind of like that he has the immunity because that it gives well. So if we did that, but we made him more important as a character, and we made his healing methods A work faster and B be more interesting, we could take away his immunity.
Don't do that. I call the police.
I would
It
feel really
reminds me
bad
of like
about
the
it.
suggestion someone had for Cinders where they're like, make the swamp in Ring City cause curse, and they're like, okay, and like, no, I was joking, please don't. And then it
Yeah,
was actually pretty good. Fucking no, big flash kill both you and Torrent when you're on it.
they do that already.
Yeah, they do.
That's already a thing that they do,
Yeah.
and that's the most effective way to heal him, frankly. Yeah,
Yes.
and
As
it.
far as as far as I am aware, Flash healed both you and Torrent.
I'm gonna be real with you here, Chief. It took me over 200 hours to figure it out, but yeah, they do.
I'm not sure when I noticed it, but holy shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is a thing that
I
I did not notice for
I swear to you, they
200
do.
hours.
Yeah. Okay. So, fuck's sake. God. So I really think that leveling him or like a way to like put armor on him or something would be great
Yes.
for that. Like allow him to increase with you through the game.
Yes,
And,
definitely.
and I've
He
talked
should
about
be
this
growing
before.
with you.
Talked about this before, but I want to make more areas torrentless. I want to
Yes.
have more areas where it's a challenge to use torrent that you can't overcome.
Yeah.
And the way I plan to do this is with archers that only target you while you're on horseback and are specifically just to knock you off.
Yeah.
The level design can be around getting to them and disabling them so that you can use torrent in that area effectively.
So what
So yeah,
if, like, as an example of this, if the really annoying ancestral follower archers, if they only shot at you when you were on torrent and they would not shoot at you otherwise, like, that would totally change the way that you interact with any of the areas that they're in.
mm-hmm.
That would be really interesting. I would be totally down for that.
What if they only shoot at torrent? Yes,
Mm,
that's similar, very similar in effect. Where it
yeah.
could give like rower fruit itself a lot more importance because you're really trying to heal him.
Yeah. They would shoot at him and do like heavy stun damage because I want to up his poise in general, and
Yeah,
then potentially make it upgradable. Um,
he's
but
a
if they
thick
shot
boy. He deserves to
him,
be thick.
yes. If they shot him and it didn't do damage to you, but you could very clearly tell like they're aiming at him, then it could be. I think just that alone would like up the emotional engagement that you have with him, as
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, why are they attacking him? Like, do they find him unnatural? Do they have a problem with me using him? It's like they're going after him, and it forces you to either, heal him continuously as you go and take care of him, or to just put him away for his safety.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I think the mechanics behind Torrent itself are wonderful. He's a very well designed horse, a lot of freedom that I think fits Elden Ring's world exceptionally well. But I don't think the enemy design has a lot of tools to combat him or account
No,
for taking
no.
him into consideration with the
Torch
level
people and
design.
spear people. That is the only time when you need to be afraid.
And even then, it's like they're so fucking annoying. Like it doesn't really feel thought out. It's
No.
just weird.
Yeah. It feels janky, like you're not sure if the game is intentionally trying to limit your use of torrent, or if like this is just something that was overlooked. Like, I don't know. Okay, so to use Dark Souls 2 as an example, some of the things with that are janky, and you're not sure if, like, is it supposed to be that way? Are the hitboxes supposed to be this chunky? Is that part of the sort of difficulty direction they were going with? The lingering hitboxes? Like, is that a thing that they wanted to do? Or is this just something that they didn't realize was in here until they were a week away from shipping it and didn't have time to fix it?
Yeah.
And Torrent being totally destroyed by torch people, and the spears feel fair. Like, they have super long wind up. You can see it. They enter that when you're somewhat near and you're on the horse. Like, I consider that to be fair. It can get tag team with a bunch of other stuff, which sucks, but I find it fair. Yeah, yeah. TS2 had a lot of problems.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That
I
fucking mimic grab attack with the single most. I think it's the worst hitbox I've ever seen in the series. Like I'm
Uh,
sure there's worse, but it always like stands out the most.
the only thing I would think that competes with that is Sir Alon and his stab. Like the
Oh
hitbox
yeah.
for that is insane. That would be the only thing that I think competes with the absolute range on that grab. Um, but
Yeah.
Torrent, I think my biggest problem with him, other than the lack of poise and that he doesn't level up as you
Scale.
do,
Yeah.
is you can't attack directly in front of you. And I think that's an intentional choice, but it also is very annoying in certain encounters. Like when you're fighting, and I've tested basically everything that you can use Torrent for. I've tested it on foot and with him to see how the encounter holds up. What are your options in each scenario? What are the downsides? How can you make this work? And fighting the cavalry knights cavalry guys, like that does not you're almost supposed to fight it with Torrent, but it does not hold up well because if you're on one side of them, you're just gonna get smashed. And if you're on the other side, you might be able to hit them every once in a while, but they're turning and you're turning so sharply, like, or it's directly in front of you, but you can't hit it with the side.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I just,
My only thought is that maybe spears might to spears even or like thrusting swords go forward on torrent.
sort of. They have a farther reaching hitbox that goes in front of, but it's still off to the side.
Ah,
And so even if you're using a spear, there will be times when someone is directly in front of you and stopping you from running, by the way, and you still cannot hit them.
I see. So, I wonder. I can't really think of a way off the top of my head where like torrent could have an attack or something that operates in front, that like coming from the mouth.
Maybe I can potentially see like having him
He
be able to
spits
shoot a
fire.
projectile,
But
have
I'm
him
like not sure what.
shoot.
Ooh, maybe like a gust of wind effect,
Yeah,
like what the Iron Golem has. He has a spectral steed named Torrent.
yeah, that could definitely be worked on.
I
Um,
I could see a whooshy wind maybe working out. I don't know.
oh yeah, and the kick that got taken out. I don't know where we could map that, but if we could add that back in, it would be very useful for specifically. Oh, excuse me. Encounters with the Kaiden guys and the Latenna people who are on wolves,
Oh yeah,
because they will come up directly behind you and they can't hit you and you can't hit them, but they're there. And if you could do the kick, like they can do the kick, and you can knock them off their horse, like super, super useful. And I totally understand why it got cut, but man,
it is kind of awkward to use.
it
But I
is,
think
it
it being
is,
like a specific thing that if you know you can use it, you can use it
yeah.
would be good.
I almost consider it in the same way that I do like the juking mechanic in Double Dash. Like,
I got you. You got to explain that one to me. I've never played Double Dash.
I'm sorry,
I
what
played
now?
I played Wii DS. I played Mario Kart DS, Mario Kart Wii, Mario Kart 7, and Mario Kart 8. But I've not played any of the other ones as far as I'm aware.
We're ending the stream. Double Dash is,
I've heard Double Dash is fun.
yeah,
For Double Dash, hey, look, I did not grow up with the GameCube.
Double Dash is arguably the best. I would still say it holds up as like the best or second best Mario Kart that was ever made. Um,
Even I'm gonna
but
say right
in
now, I've
that,
never played Luigi's Mansion.
I will forgive you for that. I'm not super big on Luigi's Mansion, and
Ooh,
it's sort of a niche thing. Yeah, I know that's a hot take. Um, I like it just fine. I find it very satisfying. It's like the OCD let me clean everything, and I'm getting
yeah,
paid for it as I do it. Like fantastic. But other than
you're a
that, I
millionaire.
I don't
A
find it that
millionaire,
engaging.
Luigi. Charlie Day.
Yes, unfortunately. um, but in Double Dash, you can have two players riding on one cart. the back player has a limited move set of things that they can do. They can use items, and they can pass them back and forth between the driver and themselves. So they are the item manager, and they're doing everything they can to play support. An option that they have is if you use the shoulder buttons, you can juke. And so you will punch to the side, and you'll drag the cart with you, and you will stun anybody that you hit.
I see.
It is super useful, and it is oh so wonderful if you want to like really get good at the like mirror mode and 150cc.
Oh yeah.
It is great for those, and it's also
I could
really good
see
if
like the
you can
kick
see
itself.
that the cart is heading for a hole. You can juke and drag the cart out of the way.
Woohoo! That's spicy.
It is so many things about Double Dash are heavily underutilized, but it's
Oh yeah.
exceedingly niche in the uses that it has. It's very great for those, but it's very niche, and I'm totally fine with Torrent's kick being that way, but it would still help in those like two instances where it would be useful.
Yeah. Something I really want is if the kick connects, I want it to feel like it hits hard. Like I want to ragdoll a wolf
Oh
and
yeah.
send it like 5 meters in the other direction.
Yeah. Launch him in the air or something, have him ragdoll for a second, and then like take a bit to get up. We can
Yeah.
even give him like invincibility frames as they're getting up, so you can't kick and then immediately get off and then, you know, pound them. But still,
Juggle them with the kick.
oh, that would be amazing. Um, would
Oh
totally
yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
overpowered, but it would be amazing.
A lot of knockback to it. I would love that.
Yeah, and I just
Can you
like
imagine
I
how fucking
think
sick you would feel just donking an enemy off the side of a cliff?
yeah, it does feel great, but the only thing we have for that is the Prelate's Charge, because it does apparently so little HP, and you can stun lock somebody and push them, or
Yeah.
the two incantations where
I
you
would say the
do
cannon
big.
technically has some knockback applied, but it's more
Yeah,
for the big boom than it is for the knockback itself.
yeah. I don't know. It would be definitely interesting to have something regular that you know consistently deals knockback, and to be
Yeah.
able to apply that into even like if you can do that with a magic build, right? It's like I'm getting surrounded. Let me do this
It's like a
thing,
living
knock
or
people
like
back.
what was it? Retaliation, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Something like that. Like those are
Hmm.
great. Those are always nice. Even if they don't do outright damage, it always feels like a good tool that you can use. It may be niche, but when it's useful, it's fucking useful.
Yeah. So like having more of that.
Wanna know what's really funny? If you two-hand your weapon before you get on your horse, it
Yeah,
will
it does
show
more
you as
damage.
one-handing, but it still has the two-handing modifier applied.
Yes. We need to fix that. It just needs to be auto two-handing whatever weapon you're using.
Yeah.
It's yeah. The fact that they do that is absurd. Um yeah, Torrent needs some help, and I I kind of want to give the player farther distance that they can drop when they're riding Torrent, not completely take away fall damage, but I want the player to like, oh, I have a platforming section I need to do, like down in the deep root depths or whatever. It's
Mhm.
like, let me use Torrent for this. Oh, I'm in Halig Tree, and I need to not die as I'm trying to move on
That's a
these.
legacy dungeon.
Yeah, like let me.
Or something, maybe something better would be like Dark Root Depths, because
Yeah,
it has the branching
yeah.
branches.
Let me like think to use Torrent in that case because I have double jump that I can direct really well, and I have super tight controls on that. Not so much when I'm walking, but when I'm in the air, I have tight controls. And I can survive a slightly longer fall. I think Torrent would benefit tremendously from that.
Mhm. I would also want to more linearize the fall damage you get, so it's not just
Yes.
all from
Yeah,
here to
it's
here
like
and then you suddenly die.
yeah, because there are instances where you fall and you hit something, but if you fell 5 feet more, you would die. Versus, oh, I
Hmm.
took like 3% of my health damage.
Yeah. So being able to linearize that, while it would be annoying, maybe I think it would also sell the height a lot better than it currently does, because it's
Yes.
very hard to gauge how you're falling right now
Yes. I'm pretty sure
and where
even
exactly
stuff
the
like
death point would be.
Fortnite does like fall damage linearly. Why FromSoft? Why did you do it in this weird exponential way?
It's like it's barely exponential too, because there's like a portion where it goes from like this bit of your health to half of your health, and then the meter after you just fucking die.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so like you can't be like, oh, this only did half my health. I'm sure if I know you're dead. What?
Yeah. There's uh, there's things there to fix. Um just had a lovely brain fart there. That was great. Did you hear
Yeah.
that? Did you hear that happen?
Boom. Okay.
More.
It's like Fahrenheit. It's really a localized game.
Yeah. Hey now, Fahrenheit makes sense in a certain point of view.
The
As a
certain
scientist,
that
I think
certain point
it's
of view is Eldritch Madness, but it does make sense in that view.
yeah. I prefer Celsius, frankly, but I think Fahrenheit is a much better way of understanding. Yeah.
It's 3 kilometers more.
Yep. Yep. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
God, wait, I gotta look up how many feet are in a mile.
5,280 something.
Yeah, no, you're right. 5,280. Fuck, do you remember that exactly?
I needed that information when I was
You
in
see,
the
but when you're
start
using
of
metric,
chemistry
it's just by
class.
tens.
Yeah.
How much is?
I
I mean, there are
How
12
many
inches in a
inches?
foot.
Yeah, so you have to multiply that by 12. I'm not that good at math.
Yeah, two, geez, 5,280 times 12 is 63,360 inches in a. I forget.
In a
A
mile.
mile. Yeah.
Yep. I can't even blame you. I only understand American units when it comes to baking, and that is a shame because there are many recipes I would love to use.
Are you
Mm-hmm.
saying you don't understand the volume equivalent of a tablespoon?
Yes, that is what I'm saying. Yes.
And this in relative to a teaspoon? One spoonful of a tablespoon, obviously.
Yeah.
Not one spoonful of a teaspoon. That's the wrong spoonful.
See, this is why I will never be able to cook anything exactly as I made it before. It's like I just fake it when I'm measuring stuff. That's amazing. I applaud your dedication. I should do that because I love to bake. I should do that so that I can start using some recipes from places where they use actual measurements instead of just like laugh at the
Madness.
idea of measurement.
Yeah. Fuck's sake. I love the idea of importing spoons just to get the same size.
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, God. And trust me, it's just not as easy for anyone in America either. We just kind of weirdly come to accept it because it's been around.
Yeah, and if you don't have like a home ec class in high school, you just don't understand anything until you're forced to.
I was sent a picture of like a bunch of measuring spoons using like tablespoons to teaspoons. And yeah, what does this mean? What is it? Do I look like I have the answer? No, I don't.
Yeah, no.
And these are labeled. Yeah, let me send you the picture. Hold on. Oh, fuck, hold on. Yeah, give me a sec. Behold, madness.
Ah, yes. Yes.
And these are labeled, but in videos you're like, what the fuck? Pull out the small spoon, not that small of a spoon, the smaller spoon.
Yes. And it's great whenever they say put in a dash or a pinch, when technically a pinch corresponds to an eighth of a teaspoon. Like, that's an actual measurement that has meaning.
It reminds
Why?
me of how Jiffy is an actual measurement.
Yes.
One,
Why?
1/100th of a second, I think.
It
You
is.
know, yeah, Jiffy.
Yeah. A tip of a knife is also
Uh,
a measurement.
is how long light takes to travel a distance of 1 femtometer, which is a millionth of a millionth of a millimeter.
Yep.
This means there are about 300,000 billion jiffies in a second. What the fuck?
Yep.
Okay. One tip of a knife is also a measurement.
It is. Can confirm.
Oh
It's
God.
a really
I need
stupid way of
something
measuring.
like more sensible. So we have
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yours is like the Russia of the West. Why do you think we hate Russia so much?
It's because they're stealing our gimmick.
Yeah. They're stealing our gimmick of being the weirdest fucking thing on the planet.
The U.S. is also like the Florida of the world.
So the Florida of the world is just mega Florida.
Kinda.
Yeah. It really be like that.
It really do.
I may like to pretend I am not actually Floridian, but we all know I'm just one alligator bite away from living in a swamp. But what's Detroit then? Detroit is, oh Jesus. I want you
I
to
mean,
imagine hell. Now I want you
yeah,
to imagine the lawyer's offices of hell. That's Detroit.
pretty much. Pretty much. I mean, you can basically say, like, the entire spectrum of landscapes that you see in Elden Ring exists in Ohio. Like,
Sorry. I don't know why that got me so much. Just like I was so wondering what the fuck you were gonna describe it as, and then just something blanket Ohio.
it is. It
You're
is
telling me
Ohio.
hell exists in Ohio? Actually, no, wait, no, that makes perfect sense. Never mind.
Have you ever been to Cleveland?
I'm not. I'm not glad I've never been to Cleveland.
You should be. Cleveland is, oh boy.
We're
It's got great
explaining all this to a
museums.
European. How do you feel about Michigan?
Uh, Michigan is fine. It's just like Ohio plus even more Midwest, if that's possible.
Ohio, but it feels like Maine, but it actually isn't. So it feels weird.
Yeah, like Michigan has a couple of cities that exist, right? And in the same way that Wisconsin does, there's like four cities in Wisconsin, and then the rest is just rural Midwest nothingness. And it's winter for half of the year.
No reason at all.
I think that my feelings on Germany would go against TOS, so you know, not quite allowed to share that.
I am now intensely interested. Wow. That was the most evil cackle I think I've heard from you. Like that sounds like the beginning to a villain song.
Yeah, probably.
You may want to know my thoughts on Germany. Well, I hope you'll lend me your ear. I don't have the rest of that. Never mind.
It started out pretty good. I'll give
What are you
that to
waiting
you.
for? An encore? You gotta tell. Censored
I
for
don't
the
know.
kiddies, obviously.
I can tell some things I feel about Germany. I like the castles and the mountains and whatever. The cities are way too dense for my liking. That's a problem that I have with Europe in general, though. Coming from America, where we just have like space upon space.
Oh yeah.
When you get
The
into
heat
the
map of the
cities of
universe can
Germany,
be split evenly between most major houses in the Midwest.
yeah, yeah. Europe in general, it's like when you're in a city, it feels way cramped and just like claustrophobic to me. but then
So what you're saying is it's
otherwise it's
basically
fine.
San Francisco.
Yeah, yeah.
Lo and behold, San Francisco is public transit.
Well, yeah, but yes,
It's
the density of the population and uh, and the cities and whatever makes public transit like super viable, which I love. Like, and biking. I don't think
oh yeah.
anyone in Germany and the Netherlands like doesn't have a bike. Like, it's
I've never once had a reason to use a bike. Only for like one mountain biking thing I did, but never anything else.
I grew up
It's always it's always just been a
biking.
car.
Yeah,
It took me until I was like what 13 until I learned how to ride a bike.
yeah,
But America it's hard to generalize, but it's so much more spread out despite a lot of places also being in relatively closer towns.
yeah. Well, I mean, the town that I'm in is like, I guess, if you were to ride a bike, you're like a half hour from any other town, which isn't necessarily a problem. Like a half hour, an hour, whatever, that's normal transport time in Europe, as far as I understand. Like, that was certainly my understanding of getting between lecture halls and whatever. Like, you have to travel a ways. Yeah.
Mm,
But
I mean, yeah,
while I
30
find
minutes
that
that much.
normal as far as driving, I don't find that normal as far as like riding a bike. And so
Because
I
also a lot of our infrastructure isn't really built around uh like like a human path like biking would be.
know you are heavily discouraged from trying to walk or ride a bike anywhere.
Cars.
Yeah, it's
The
like you get
evolution of
outside of the town and
the only
sidewalks
roads you really
disappear.
have are car roads,
Yeah,
and they don't have biking lanes.
no. And cars will hit you. Then you take a bus or you
What if you don't have a
suffer.
car? Well, you're not really getting out of town by any means, don't you?
Yeah. It's like there are people who
You
exist
get an
without
Uber or a
a
bus.
car, or like I know lots of people who don't know how to drive and they're perfectly satisfied with that and they live their lives just fine doing that. But yeah, it definitely limits your ability to get around because
You
everything is
don't
so far away.
you don't really get between places in America without having a car. That's the transportation here.
Yes.
If you're gonna
Or a
get from one
horse.
city, if you're gonna get from one town to another, and you will, because everything is spread out a lot,
There are some places
you're
down
using a
south
car.
that cater if you like don't have a car but you have a horse. Like, that's a thing. And of course, like
Yeah, but that's the South.
Amish places with heavy Amish population,
Oh yeah.
like you'll see that as well.
Did you just
I
join the bus?
mean, yeah, if you're in Europe, I can't blame you. Trains and bus, that would be the way to go. And walking.
There's buses. There are buses. Like we have bus systems, but generally, you really want to be in a good city for that
Yeah.
to use the bus. And even then, I don't think I've ever used the bus in my local town ever.
I have pretty extensive experience having lived in Cleveland for a long time. Like, you can use the buses, but they're not great.
For 9 euros,
And you can
jeez.
buy drugs on them.
Well,
Like,
this is America. Don't
yeah,
catch zipping up. So about the school shootings that happened over 9 in a week over the course of,
right? No kidding.
in the wise words of our previous president, Donald Trump, grab him by the.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about Torrent.
Yeah, so Torrent. I kind of feel like we've covered most of it. Is that he's good, but he needs work. Underutilized certainly as a character in the world.
Fuck's sake.
Yes, I really can switch topics that quickly.
Oh God, that's good. That's good. I don't know why that was so funny to me. Like the joke, nothing about that joke setup was actually good. Like our Code Eve over here is still attempting to catch up on the brainwave of buying drugs on a bus.
Yeah, it's a thing. And you're lucky if people riding the bus in like Cleveland or Akron or pretty much any
sometimes
major
life,
city in Ohio. It's like
sometimes
if they're
life is a
wearing
local
clothes,
Wisconsin.
you are.
No, yeah, yeah, he's not
Oh
joking.
no, I'm not joking. I'm 100% serious. I can't even tell you the number of times I've been asked if I'm selling anything because for a long time I had really long hair.
Hey,
Um,
code. Do you guys have like homeless towns that crop up under overpasses and stuff on the highway in Germany?
yeah, you guys have shanty towns? Oh, it's not official.
No, no,
Like
no. Yeah, it's definitely unofficial.
if a cop were to show up, then a surprising amount of people on the bus will get up. Yeah, shanty towns exist.
Yeah. You've never heard of a Hooverville? Oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, speaking again of Cleveland, the flats is a thing.
Sorry. Mhm.
Depending on where you live in the U.S., you can't like step outside your house without seeing homeless people.
I'm just gonna let that sit for a second because, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit
Welcome to the
depressing.
land of the free and the opportunity, where you're free to be forced into a shanty town under an overpass with a tent. O'clock? Yeah, it's currently 2:31 for me in the afternoon. No, I don't have a TikTok in my room. No.
Oh, that would
Do
be
you
my
have a TikTok?
fan. I apologize. It is
Mine is a digital clock. We
upwards
go.
of the 80 degrees Fahrenheit today, and I am dying.
Hot something? Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm glad.
I actually can't hear the TikTok. I don't know what's going on.
I'm. I figured that this microphone was able to pick up stuff, but know that it can pick up that is interesting. I'll have to see about adjusting
I
my.
mean, if it sounds nice, then it might not even need to be adjusted for.
True.
Super faint.
Okay, that's good at least. I
So
won't
I guess a
fix
little
it for the
audio
sake of that, but
texture in the background. Whatever.
yeah,
It's fine for now. But yeah, on that note, America's
America has problems,
mm, Elden Ring
just
is
like
a less
Torrent does.
depressing world than America. And
You
on that
know,
note, let's return back to Elden Ring.
you're probably not even wrong about that.
No, of course not. Godric the Grafted, more like our political system. Now laugh.
Heh.
Okay. I'm done with the lowbrow political humor. I swear. We're here on a topic. We're here on a mission.
I'm pretty sure politics is against Twitch TOS anyway, so it's fine.
Oh no, I'm gonna get our accounts banned. Oh,
I mean, it was gonna happen eventually.
that's fair. We'll stream through Discord screen share, speaking to the remnants of physical reality.
Yes. All right. So
Okay,
we've.
so
I feel like we've covered Torrent, unless you have anything else to say.
who's to say when this dock is being taken down, another one won't rise, and then another and another. I feel like I'm going insane reading this.
Yes.
I can't even stop. The torrent of ducks. Look at it. Look at that perfect segue. Let's go. No one is safe. So yes, back to the torrent of ducks. Torrent of ducks. Let's see. So yeah, I feel like we've said our piece on Torrent. We know what has to happen to him. Mechanically, he's very solid. His problems are mainly external in how the world reacts to him
Yeah.
and how he scales through it.
Obviously.
Yeah, he's
Can you
surmountable.
not see the picture?
Sorry. I don't know what that means in duck language. Did you just tell me to fuck off? How dare you? I've been insulted by a duck. Oh.
Only some people in the audience will understand that. The audience that we don't yet have, but maybe someday will.
Maybe. Amazing. Right. Yeah, Torrent's got problems, mainly external. If we can build the world around to react to Torrent more and create more scenarios where the player can use Torrent to strategize and also strategize around Torrent in a way, and the
Yeah.
enemies that are hell bent on killing him, then I believe it'll be a much more engaging kind of back and forth between on foot, horseback, and the mix between them.
Yeah, I
Because there are a
definitely
lot
agree.
of encounters in the game I think would be really fun picking through slowly if Torrent wasn't there.
Yeah, and I think that there are some encounters where it's really fun to have torrent. Like
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
will always cite Agiel. I
Yeah, yeah,
think
yeah. The dragons in particular. It took me a little bit to figure that out, but dragons with Torrent are wondrous.
yes, I'm okay with fighting them on foot, and a lot of times I tend to do so anyway, especially with like the later game ones because they're like just a bit bigger, and so
Oh yeah,
torrent becomes
absolutely.
unmanageable with them. Except for when you have to run away from stuff, which is a problem that I have. It's like parts of this game will just mandate that you use torrent to run away.
Hmm. My idea for the player being targeted by spirit archers is that they would only do stagger damage to knock you off of Torrent, and not really any kind of physical damage. As I do agree that that would be most annoying.
Yeah, I think there's a certainly not that they do damage to you, but that they do damage to torrent. Like that might be interesting.
I think that's the best balance between them. So it doesn't really feel weird. Like you understand what's going on and what
They do go
exactly
so
is being
fast.
targeted.
Yeah.
And you're just stacking fucking spirit archers.
Yep.
So if you want to, would you want to send this recording back to the start? So maybe we can like carry on the conversation into the start of the game and what could be done
Uh
here.
yes. Although I am getting of the hungers.
Okay, yeah, that's
So
true.
it is 5:40 for me,
Ooh,
or almost. Um, so methinks I'm gonna go get dinner,
I
and
see.
we can potentially, yeah, yeah,
For
right.
4 hours
Short
already.
man bad, only almost 4 hours. Um, I would very much like to go for longer, but
Yes.
I need to rejuvenate my stomach first
Ah,
and feed the
I got food
cats.
here. I gotta eat too. So I suppose then we'll take a stream break, and if all things go well, then within half hour or so, maybe longer than that, get back at it.
Yeah, maybe about an hour. So I will end the stream and we can carry on later. I
Righty.
hope you have time to show up again, Cody. It's been very interesting having someone else to bounce off of,
Hmm.
but I
I
am
certainly do
thoroughly
appreciate it.
enjoying the discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Toodly doodles. Going to
Chill a little bit later. So